Superintendent has asked us to gavel our meeting in early so that we can commence our meeting and then suspend our business in order to join the Facilities Committee in hearing the architectural firms in their presentations. So we have a quorum now. First order of business is to approve the minutes from the January 17th meeting. I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes. Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. It's my understanding, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, that we are going to be here till about 10 o'clock tonight. There are going to be presentations from the 5 highest-ranking architects. I have one other announcement to make. I was advised that due to the location of the meeting and the poor audio last time, we don't have any minutes to review. However, if everyone looks in their bond packet for tonight or their Oversight Committee packet for tonight, you'll see that they're going to provide us with a DVD, so we'll have the best recording they could make. I'm going to move at this time to suspend the business of the Bond Oversight Committee so that we can join the Facilities Committee when they gavel their meeting to order at 5:30. We'll stand in recess.
Meeting to order of the Brownsville Independent School District's Board of Trustees Facilities Committee meeting scheduled for February 1st, 2007 at 5:30 at the Administration Building Boardroom. Before I commence with item 2, Administration's introductory remarks, I want to welcome the members of the BOC. Thank you for attending, and those that are out in the public, and the architects that were called to attend. I believe everyone's present? All architects that are listed? They should be here. Okay.
They'll be coming in.
Okay. Want to make sure that, no one called in to say they weren't coming. Okay, $50 million, pretty good carrot. Okay. Then, present are the board members of the Brownsville Independent School District, with the exception of Mr. Colunga, he's at a meet in Austin or San Antonio. Present for the committee is myself, the chair, Pat Lehman, members, Dr. Enrique Escobedo, and Herman Otis Powers. We'll begin with item 2, Administration's introductory remarks. Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Lehman, members of the board, members of the Bond Oversight Committee. This is a meeting that's going to be joint with Facilities and the Bond Oversight Committee. The purpose of today's meeting is to hear presentations from 5 architectural firms, and this is strictly for the high school only. What we're going to be doing, the process is that each presenter, each architectural firm will have 30 minutes total to do their presentation. We have suggested that they do a 20-minute presentation with 10 minutes allotted for questions. The only ones that can ask questions are the architect or the Facilities Committee meeting. Each one of you, though, in the Bond Oversight Committee as well as the Facilities, have been given a rating sheet. I want to go over that real quickly with you so you'll know exactly what it is and why it's important. You'll put the architectural firm's name on the top line, the evaluator's name, that's be you, your name, and today's date. Please circle one of the following numbers with 5 having the highest value. And those are the things that we're going to be looking at. Overall educational design experience, high school design experience, staffing ability to create drawings and produce construction documents, what credentials does the person or persons have to oversee the construction phase? What is the design experience of consulting engineers? Historical square foot cost of recent school projects. How accessible will your firm or your consulting engineer staff be to the district in response time with design and construction issues? And then rate the overall presentation of the firm. And what we're going to be doing that, we will be picking those up as soon as you have completed them. We will not give you, what we don't want to do is that you have second thoughts after you hear the second architectural firm or the third one, go back and erase and say, no, I think this one deserves higher than this. This way it stands firm. After all firms have presented, then I will ask Mr. Lehman to recess for 15 to 20 minutes to allow the Bond Oversight Committee to get together and discuss and then provide input to the Facilities Committee meeting as a whole from your end. What we're trying to see is what do you all want to do as far as seeing some of the construction projects that these firms have designed? Which ones do you want to go see? All 5, just 3 firms, or whatever. So that's how the process is going to be working today. As far as which schools are everything, who's going to go, that's administration. Once you decide between the Bond Oversight Committee and the Facilities Committee meeting, you will give me direction, and then I will take care of the rest of it. And we'll work with you on that part of it. So, sure.
Clarification, the ranking sheet, we don't have any other backup information, so as far as overall design experience, the experience part, you have researched?
We have researched it, but they should give it to you in their presentation. It's how they present. You can ask questions at the end. There will be responsibility at the Facilities Committee meeting that if you're unclear on these questions, that you target those questions to the architects.
Another hypothetical, not a hypothetical, but a clear question is, I would assume that administration has already ranked the architects.
Yes, these architects have already been ranked. They're the top 5. Like I would say from here, they start from scratch. It's now going to be based on their presentation. We feel comfortable with any of the 5. However, we need to weed it out to the top firm.
The presentation A, B, C, and D, does that represent their ranking?
No.
It's random.
Random. Strictly random.
I have a question,
Sure.
Mr. Superintendent. Did I hear you to say that the only individuals who are allowed to ask questions of the firms that are presenting is the Facilities Committee?
Yes.
There are no questions to be fielded from the Bond Oversight Committee?
You can field the questions at the end to the Facilities Committee meeting, because we don't want to go through everybody here unless, and it'll be up to Mr. Lehman.
There's
You want to designate one person from the committee to ask questions, you may do so.
Item 6, there is input regarding items reviewed by and discussed, so we'll keep the same format. And if there's any questions at that time, because I would assume that you would have most of the questions. So we'll take that at that time for you to open it up.
Because we don't want to take too much time at the architectural firm. So this is their show, in other words. We're going to base it on their show. Yes.
We're not able to ask questions and have our questions answered before we do our rankings.
Yes, because they'll be asking the questions here.
We won't be able to answer our questions to all the firms are good,
You'll be rating as you go through it.
but we won't be able to ask questions prior to our rankings.
Of the architectural firm you're asking.
During the meeting, they're allowed.
No, because we're allowing them the 20 now. It'd be up to the chairman here. If there's plenty of time left over, they can say, any members of the Bond Oversight Committee have any questions, they can go ahead at that time. But we're trying to adhere to the 30-minute time limit. But I'm sure that Mr. Lehman, if there's enough time, might ask you all, y'all have any questions, and then you can do that.
By ear, how's that? Can we play it by ear?
Let's see how it goes. It's tough because we're allowing 30 minutes. We don't want to allow too much time for each one. Don't ask him. Yeah, we'll cover that. I can explain that over. So with that in mind, we'll work through it. The first group is going to be Gomez Mendez Signs. Now, the reason we're picking up the forms at the end, like I say, is to be fair with everybody. We don't want to go back and change answers. But there'll be plenty of time, you members of the Bond Oversight Committee, at the end to answer plenty of questions, especially from administration. And one thing we do have is their resumes. So we can refer back to resumes also. So it's not a problem there from us. You want to get started?
Yes, sir. We'll move on to item 3, presentations, interviews with architectural firms for high school, number 6. First one to present, Gomez Mendez Science Incorporated. You have 20 minutes for a presentation.
Thank you. I'm Rudy Gomez, and these are my partners, David Mendez and David Science, and our associate, Isaac Ochoa. And we have with us Guillermo Quintanilla from ACR Engineering. First of all, I want to thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to come and make this presentation. We realize that the design of a new high school doesn't come very often. In fact, we designed Lopez High School 13 years ago, so we're familiar with that. You know, all the firms that you're interviewing are good firms, but I think there's several items which put us in a position to serve you best. And for some of you, y'all may be asking, well, who are we? Well, we're an architectural engineering firms that know your needs. We know the problems that you're faced with. We've provided architectural engineering services to BISD for 31 years. Our staff is very knowledgeable in the design of schools. It's our specialty. We've designed schools for 17 Valley school districts. We have a staff of 11 qualified people. Our MEP engineers, ACR, have 6 in Harlingen, supported by a staff of 15 in Austin and in Houston. Green Rubiano is our structural engineer. They have a staff of 9 that's located in Harlingen. And we have a construction inspector, Ruben Rodriguez, who is just invaluable to us. He brings with him some 25-plus years of construction experience, and he's available to us on a daily basis if we need him. One of the things, because of the complexity of school design now, is the value of your MEP engineer. And ACR is not your standard mechanical electrical engineering firm. Instead of the common or the standard practice, just about in every case where we've given them the opportunity, they provided us with some innovative concepts in their portion of the technology. You know, all of the firms you're interviewing tonight are qualified, but we are the only firm that's local, and I think that's very important. We take great pride in our work, and working in our hometown is very important to us. Another key point we'd like to bring to you is the history we've had with BISD. You know, for 31 years, we provided service to you. And I think one of our greatest assets is working with your staff, with Mr. Gonzalez and Oscar, those through the years. David Sines recently has been the contact person for us with BISD. And believe me, we know what's expected of our firm. I think one of the greatest things that we have going for us right now is we know our business. In the last 6 years, we've had one job out of the money that we had to go back and redraw. And because of this extensive bidding experience, we're in a position to tell you what your school buildings should cost. We just recently bid elementaries and junior highs over at Sherryland, and we're within 1% of our estimated cost on the construction. You know, in the field of architectural engineering, technical quality is expected. What separates a superior firm from a good firm is that level of service. And I think our level of service is best shown in the brochure because of the number of different jobs we've done for the same client. Please note that in the RFQ, all the references that are in there have many projects for that same client. And we'd be very pleased for you to contact any one of those people. You know, if we hadn't provided them with a quality product and quality service, they certainly wouldn't have asked us back. In the RFQ, there were several key items that I think we should address. The first one that you alluded to before is the experience in designing high schools. Here again, we were the architects for Lopez High School. We're currently designing the new Los Fresnos High School. At Los Fresnos, in the existing school, the additions that we've made there more than doubled the original footprint. We've designed the Science Academy, Biblioteca de las Americas for South Texas ISD. We designed the Beta Academy in Edinburgh for South Texas ISD. And we've completed major improvements to 9 Valley school districts, high schools in the Valley. Experience with different school districts in the last 5 years. Well, certainly we've had experience of working with Brownsville ISD. In Los Fresnos, we're currently working in Sherryland, La Feria, Mission, and South Texas ISD, and several others. We're very proud of the number of clients, repeat clients that we've had, including BISD. The recent work that we've done for BISD, currently we have the Falkstale construction, classroom additions. We'll soon be beginning our 4th re-roofing project for Brownsville ISD. The notable projects that we've completed are the Vermillion Library, classroom additions to Sharp, Skinner, and Roosevelt, and we've designed 4 of the district's latest elementary schools. And we'd like to point out one thing in that in all of those cases, the betterment fund that we had in those projects were returned to the districts. They were not used. There you go. Key personnel. Initially, we're all going to be involved in the programming phase, but we plan to utilize my two Davids and myself as project managers as we go through the high school. Our consultants, ACR, our MEP engineers, Rolando Rubiano from Green Rubiano Associates, they'll be our structural. Mahia and Rose are civil, and Scott Pajeski is our landscaping. And these consultants are not a marriage of convenience because we work together on many, many projects, all of yours lately. In project references, in the original RFQ, there's our list of references. And here again, if you'd like to visit with any of those, we'd certainly be pleased. You know, one of the things that item 6 was unique qualifications. Well, what makes our firm unique? Well, one of the things that we think that the uniqueness that we provide our clients is our level of service. You know, we're around the corner. We're 5 minutes away. And the experience that we've had in working with your facilities department has really accelerated design and the construction process. You know, another thing that we're very proud of is in the programming of our facilities, or your facilities. We design schools that are attractive, that are efficient, and they're low maintenance. And with this simple philosophy, we've been able to keep our projects within time and within budget. You know, we want to give the new high school its own character so that the students and the staff will be proud of it. I think another unique factor that we have is that our firm has no pending litigation against it. And I think that's a question that you might ask the other firms that you're interviewing. Our workload at this time is something, we're at a point that we can expedite your work. With the architects that we have, with the engineers that we have, and our staff, we're ready and anxious to begin this work for you. What we'd like to do now is show you some examples of our work.
This is Sherryland Junior High, the first one, and we're actually starting the second junior high for Sherryland. Probably be starting at the end of this month. This school was awarded to Williamson Construction for $17 million. Key features include a band hall, performing arts center, tennis courts, landscape package, and all the amenities that come to for a 1,200 student campus. This is an ongoing project for Mission CISD. It's the new middle school. It's a new design. It's got a working budget of $15 million, and we anticipate opening bids sometime in late March.
This is Lopez High School. It was completed back in 1994. It was designed for 2,500 students. Square footage is 301,000 square feet. Major components of this school include a 699-seat auditorium, ROTC building with a firing range, band hall, cafeteria, kitchen, and so forth. This is the existing Los Fresnos High School. The area that's shaded are the additions that we did. The other areas are the existing high school. We completed probably about 50% or increased their capacity of 50% on this campus. Major components on this project are the new band hall. The gymnasium is a 21,000 square foot clear span gym. They practice basketball in there, football, and baseball.
This is the library that serves the Science Academy in Mercedes. It's one of several additions that we've done to that campus. Recent additions are a new gymnasium, as well as a new vocational technology building that are starting construction this month as well. These are just some key photographs of some key features of the building: a rotunda and a lecture hall that seats 150 students. And this is just another night shot of the exterior of the building.
As Rudy mentioned, we are working with Los Fresnos CISD. We're currently working on their master plan for their high school. Phase 1 will be for 1,250 students. Phase 2, another 1,250 students for a total of 2,500 students. This project is sited on 55 acres. On the north side of the property is the bus drive. In the center is the parent drop-off lane. On the south side is a fire lane and additional parking. And then over on the west side, we have all the outdoor activities, the basketball courts, baseball, softball, band practice, and the football fields. This is the site for your new high school. The left-hand side shows the vicinity map. It is located between San Pedro, that's shown on the west side, and Alton Glory, shown on the east side on the bottom. Directly across the site is River Bend. Over on the right-hand side, the access to the site would be off of Carmen Avenue, which is over to the east side, and then on the southwest corner is the other entrance to the site. There is, as far as utilities, there is an 8-inch water line that's located on the west side of the property, approximately 520 feet. There is manholes on the south side of the property. They're too shallow, so this site will probably need a lift station. Now, this is also your site, the 80 acres, and what we did is we sited in Lopez High School. We modified the floor plan and included, the original design for Lopez was 301,000. This one is 330,000 square feet. Over on the west side, we have the fire lane and then additional parking and the student parent drop-off. Over on the east side is a bus drive. And over on the north side is where we have all the baseball, the softballs, band practice, football fields, and so forth. What we also did is we cited in the master plan that we're working on right now with Los Fresnos CISD. Their floor plan is a total of 352,000 square feet. Same thing on the east side, we have the bus drive. On the west side, we have the fire lane along with the parent drop-off. And then toward the back on the north side, we have the baseball, softball fields, soccer fields, and the football fields. The area in the front that's lighter, that's I guess 12 acres that's been reserved for future development for some, I guess a person that sold the property.
Going back to the Lopez resite, if you choose to do so, this is a proposed alternate elevation for the Lopez High School. You can see it's been changed quite drastically. This is just a concept drawing if you choose to go that route.
You know, just like in the two intermediate schools that we've done for Brownsville ISD and the number of elementary schools, what the possible reuse, at least in schematic design of Lopez, is something that we've done in the other schools, and that we're able to tweak that floor plan, because it's obvious that floor plan works for your educational program. And so having that ability to do that will certainly enhance and expedite the construction of the school. You know, during the design and the construction, we're only a phone call away from your staff to answer whatever questions they have and to give them the benefit of our experience. You know, we're going to be here when we're needed, and we're going to give you 100% of our effort. We take great pride in our work. You know, some of the people that you'll interview will tell you they're going to give you 100%, but that's when they're down here visiting. We live here, we work here. As I mentioned, we take great pride in our work. And it's different designing in Brownsville than it is in Corpus or Dallas or anywhere else. Knowledge of the local conditions is very important. And yes, I think we're in a better position to serve you. You know, whenever we've had a problem on our job, we've been in a situation where we've had knowledgeable people who know how to solve the problems, come on site and get it done. Not to have somebody to go out on the job and report what's doing and then report back to their home office. You know, think of the problems that you may have, you know, if you've got a problem with the mechanical systems or roof and your consultants are somewhere other than Brownsville. You know, in summary, all the firms you're interviewing are good firms, but we think we can serve you best. First of all, because we are immediately accessible. We certainly have the knowledge and the design of educational facilities, and we are very familiar with the design and construction conditions here in Brownsville. Our firm has shown that our projects have been on time and budget and provide an excellent value. You know, we want to do this project. We live here. And if you'd like to visit any of our work, we'd be very pleased to have you. Thank you.
Presentation? Thank you
Yes.
very much. Questions from the board? Anybody?
Yeah, to the superintendent, are we looking at a resite or?
With today's high schools, you almost, you want to design for, not only for today, but for the future. So a resite of a school in the 80s or 90s is not something that we would be looking forward to. We need to do a school that will have everything that we need to, not only for today, but to look at technology and what's doing for tomorrow. So we'll be looking not at a resite unless it's a very recent resite, something that they built just a year or two ago that already has the features that we're going to need for the future. So in my opinion, because it is, build a high school every year, like an elementary, it'll be another 10 to 15 years before we build another one, I would hope. Maybe not, maybe sooner. But whatever it is, we need a school for the future as well as to do our present needs. So we're not particularly looking for a resite. We're probably going to be looking at incorporate some of the components that have been working for us, but also incorporate components that we need for the future.
Mr. Lehman, I'm glad that you mentioned that we're looking for a school for the future. Not only technology, Mr. Gonzalez, but also perhaps space. Historically, we've always built a school, and within 2 years, there's already overcapacity.
We're growing it.
And so perhaps in the designing process, we need to start looking at, like you said, plan for the future, but not only in technology and all these things, but also space itself. That we have additional space that 2 or 3 years down the road, we'll still have an adequate school that is not overcrowded, that is not, how would you say, that too difficult to get to.
We were not proposing a direct resite. What we were looking at was the concept. Within that atrium design, and I think the principals who have served there in the past have mentioned to me that Lopez, because of the atrium design, is one of the easiest to control in terms of all the hallway traffic. So when you look at that portion of it and the way that the traffic is expelled, the large loggia that's in the front for the controlling of the students, those centrally located activities like the lecture room, like the library, those appendages like the physical education, the athletics and the band, so that you don't have to open up the whole school when you have after school activities. The concept of that's what we think that is valuable.
Thank you. How many high schools have you designed, and from that number, how many of those would resemble what we're looking to design here?
Well, until we get your final building program. Originally when we had talked with Hector, we were talking about 330 to 350 square feet. Well, there's an awful lot there that in defining your building program, how many science classrooms. We've done components, the specialty classroom areas. Like I said, we've done them in 13 different high schools. Academic classrooms are academic classrooms. And those quality specialty classrooms is what I think that you need to look at. It's like the library that we did over at South Texas with the lecture room that's in it, it's part of it. It's completely computerized. With the new design that we have for the science classrooms. Because it's just not chemistry and physics and biology anymore. So it's like the Kate School that we did that we oversaw for the Weslaco ISD. So all the vocational kids, the programs that they're involved in. Those are the types of things that the experience that we have that we think we can bring to the table and discuss with the staff and show them examples. One of the best things that we can do is take staff out to the job site and ask that teacher what they like and what they don't like about this room. or their teaching space, because that's where we learn. You know, our education is evolving all the time. We're not static. Believe me, from doing work in the number of different schools that we've done, we found that many staff members in a particular school district are well aware of what's going on in their own school district, but are not aware of what we're doing in others. And so that experience of going out and visiting is important.
I understand what you said about the design. Thank you for your answer. So the first half of my question, how many high schools have you designed?
Complete is just Lopez.
Sorry?
Just Lopez.
Additional comments? Mr. Cortez, anything? Mr. Power? Mr. Galvan?
Could you give us an estimated cost per square foot for a high school that would be brand new?
You're probably, if it is an atrium facility, you're probably looking in the neighborhood of between $150 and $160 a square foot, depending, here again, coming back and depending upon the type of educational program in sports. You know, as you're well aware of, that triple gymnasium facility that we did over in Los Fresnos was a boon, but we got that at a very inexpensive price at that particular time. And if you can build with that and design with that economy, then we can better that.
If you design a high school for 352,000 square feet, with your $50 million budget that you have for this project, come in at about $142 a square foot.
Comments? Okay, I'll have a few. Mr. Gonzalez, we took a position that high schools would be maxed at what capacity, population?
2250, basically.
So, with that criteria in mind, is that, and I'm trying to understand what you're trying to say, the 300,000 to 350,000, is that going to accommodate this criteria, or is it being flexible to accommodate 2,500? What's going to be the deciding factor that we go to 300,000 or 350,000?
Well, I think one of the things, here again, comes back to your building program, because just because you have X number of classrooms doesn't mean that they're all loaded 25 to 1. You'll have specialty classrooms. So that will, the number of those special support type classroom areas is going to dictate a certain amount of square footage. From 330 to 350, that really depends upon your final building program. But in 300,000, we've got 2,500 students.
Yeah, the 352,000 for Los Fresnos, that's for 2,500 students, so that square footage would come down for your program.
One aspect or one viewpoint from us. The other, you're presently doing one high school?
Yes.
Los Fresnos, you're going to do the new high school?
Yes, right.
And you finished with the addition?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I guess you have two under your belt, Lopez and Los Fresnos, okay. I guess, so that's the only work you will have to date as far as tying you up, because I don't know how, as far as your design experience, you've been in business quite a while and you've done work for us. I guess your design team, your staff, would that hinder that you're designing simultaneously Los Fresnos and then you'll be designing Brownsville? Is that going to impede?
No, sir.
Or
The plan for Los Fresnos is the first phase is for 1,250 kids. And so that dictates a facility of about 155,000 square feet. But it's a wing school, so that'll be easier to accommodate.
this is the new design, I would say.
Yes, sir.
So, my other question would be, are you contemplating on a single level or two-story?
Historically,
Because of the economy factor, is there an advantage to building two-story as opposed to single-story?
What we're doing for Los Fresnos is a single-story. The reason we didn't go two-story, they're harder to manage, for one, and they cost a little more when you go up two stories.
this is the experience that they had over there at the high school, where it's two levels. Unless the cost of the land is such that it's, you're restricted to a much smaller site, we feel that it's less
So
expensive.
the
to go to
theory
single
of
floor.
going second story doesn't necessarily mean that it's cheaper.
I don't think so.
Because, okay, all right. Additional comments? Mr. Gonzalez? Okay, we'll open it up. Anybody from the bond committee?
Any questions?
Yes, sir.
I mean, you keep repeating yourself as far as the level of service that y'all are local. You keep repeating yourself as far as the level of service that you are local. I mean, can you give me an example of an architectural firm that is from out of town and that, you know, I mean, they're competing with you in that arena? I mean, why is it that that would give you an advantage over them as far as your level of?
Well, if there's a problem, meeting your schedules for design, when you first come out with your design criteria, the availability of being able to meet with you at your schedule, on your timetable,
Not the architects.
not the architects, not when you're down here traveling. We're here. Like I said, we're just down the street. And I think that's a big advantage. Plus, for the most part, we know all the players. We know most of the staff that we'll be dealing with in the design process. So I think that's a big advantage for us.
In programming, still in fall classroom editions, we work mostly after hours because the staff obviously is in class during the day. So we're able to meet with them after school hours, days, back-to-back days, just at their convenience, not ours.
So somebody from the outside would not have the number of people that you have here locally?
I think the accessibility, yes. Certainly during the construction, I don't think anybody can provide the service that we do.
Yeah, we manage our projects from beginning to end, even during concrete pours. We have our inspector out there, and a lot of times they're pouring these foundations at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. Our inspector's out there at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning with the contractors and along with the testing company, watching the pours. And I don't think you'll get that level of service with the other.
Ray, you had a question?
I asked the question concerning they asked the question about the number of high schools that you have designed over the years. And why don't you tell the group and the board a little bit about how many schools you've designed and ask us or tell us what percentage of the work that you do is school related?
School-related projects in our firm probably amount to between 80 and 85% of our workload. We've designed, David was the lead on the iTech Center for TSC UTB. We're currently designing, we're under construction with 3 jobs for TSTC, Automotive Center, the Health Science Center, and the Fine Arts. For Pan American, we've completed, how many?
6 projects?
6 or 7 projects, including the new tower renovation, the new tower, new student services. We've done additions at the UT Center at Port Isabel. That was the one, the joint center that we did that. We've done major new facilities at La Feria, certainly at Los Fresnos High School. We've just completed 2 additions at Weslaco East and Weslaco High School. Sharyland High School, we're the new facilities, new athletic facilities, the new science classroom wings, the new gymnasiums, all of those, or the new band hall. Those are the ones that we have done. We could just go.
One more
About 2
question.
minutes left, if
Okay,
anybody.
one more question. Who wants to field it, and we'll make it quick.
Let me ask, if I can ask a question. When you're indicating that you're going to be there during the construction phase of this project, is this not part, and I guess I would direct it first to the superintendent, is this not part of all the architects, or is this just something that one particular firm is offering at this point? I mean, the architect comes in, does the project, do they oversee that, also will be working with the construction
I won't
company?
count it against you, Rudy. This is my question, so you still have 2 minutes after I finish.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, 30% is for construction observation. We pay the architect 30% of his fees, whoever the architect firm is for construction observation. We're expected for them to oversee the construction. 30% of their money goes just for that, construction observation. That's part of our contract. So every firm, regardless, has to have somebody there. How they get them, how quality, that's the question we have to ask, I guess. What quality are they going to produce? And I guess that would be the question that I would ask if I may, Mr. Lehman.
Yes, sir.
How many people are you going to have set? High school is a major project. How many people will you have available, like they say, 24/7 for us? I mean, that's all they're going to do is our school, or construction observation part.
For the construction observation,
I think that's the question that we
there'll
need to
be,
answer.
we'll have somebody from ACR, we'll have somebody from Green Rubiano, and at least 2 members from our office.
On site at all the time, or they're only on
Periodic.
call?
Well, the construction, you don't need to be there the whole time, but certainly at all the key periods of time, we will have at least 4.
At least twice a week.
It's like when you start the foundation, we'll have Rubiano out there, Rolando Rubiano, and we'll have our inspector out there, and then, of course, us overseeing that. And then when you get into the mechanical system, well, you have ACR out there, us out there also.
Question. I think that's the question they were driving at on that particular one. That's about the time. I don't know. You have a quick one? Very quick one. Okay.
I understand that this team is right around the corner, but when you have an out-of-town firm that is doing the construction inspection and 30% of their fee is based for construction inspection, are part of the reimbursables of the architectural contract the travel for the construction team back and forth, or is that included in that 30%?
That's part of their 30%. We don't pay anybody for extras. The only time we do reimbursables is if they do something for us that's not part of the contract.
All right, thank you.
Okay. We'll conclude, and thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you very much.
We'll take a break for setup for PBK Architects.
At this time, if you all don't mind doing the rankings?
Yes, I would like to suggest, with the chairman's permission, a slight change to the procedure. Since we're going to have to meet at a break some point down following all the presentations, would it be permissible to you, Mr. Chairman, to allow us to pick up our own tally sheets, hold them, so that
yes.
during our discussion period, we can then have the sheets available for discussion?
Yeah. Those are yours. I'm trying to say is maybe you collect them, or Bush, or somebody.
Thank
That
you.
way, then you can rediscuss them all you want to. That's your committee.
Thank you.
Pass them down to me, and I'll hold them for good flavor. Got 5 minutes, bathroom or whatever, while they set up.
The right-hand side on the upper. Take 30 seconds to load.
Great, thank you. I know.
No, we can use. Yeah, you can use it.
Who's going to
This is all set up already, right? Too. Yeah, this is a
PBK's presentation. I guess, Mr. Hernandez, you want to take the lead?
Sure.
Because that's your picture there, so
Yes, that is me.
I don't think that we know you.
Thank you, Dr. Escobedo, members of the board, Building Oversight Committee. We appreciate the opportunity to be here, and we're grateful that you've given us this opportunity. I'm Joel Hernandez. I'm the partner with PBK Architects, and with me I have a couple of my associates.
Hello, my name is Juan Lopez. I'm a principal with PBK and the lead project designer. I will serve as the lead designer for if the opportunity does happen for our new high school.
I'm Carlos Alexander. I'm a registered architect, associate with PBK. Got over 30 years' experience in design and construction.
Gil Alvarado, I'm the director of our office down here in the Rio Grande Valley. I'll be maintaining the day-to-day operations on the project.
Let me tell you a little bit about PBK, and I'm going to go quickly because I know you have questions for us, so I'm not going to try to go quickly on this. If you see anything you want me to talk about, please stop me and ask me a question. But our firm has 25 years, over 25 years, dedicated exclusively to the design and construction of educational facilities. We have 6 offices: Rio Grande Valley office, San Antonio, Houston, League City, Dallas-Fort Worth, and an Austin office. All of our offices worked as a group. We are all interconnected with T1 lines so that from a production standpoint or from an experience and expertise standpoint, we're able to offer each other whatever support we need to. As far as our core ideologies, the benchmark to our firm has always been our obsession with client service. Basically, our motto in the office is, the answer is yes, now what's the question? And we mean that, though. I mean, we really try to go above and beyond the standard services that architectural engineering have historically provided. As far as our success in the marketplace, we've been recognized as one of the leaders in terms of being guest lecturers at all the different conferences. And by conferences, I mean the conferences that are important to you as educators and as community members. We attend all the TASA, TASB, AASA, NSBA. Those are the conferences we attend. We don't attend any of our own peer conferences. We find that we are better able to serve our clients by attending the conferences they attend so that we're able to keep up with the technologies, the changes, and any curriculum things that need to be adapted to within facilities. As far as awards, our office has received more awards than probably any other firm in the state of Texas. Since 2004, we've received 76 awards recognized by TASA, TASB, NSBA, ASA. Those are the awards that we've received. As far as educational clients, we have over 100 educational clients. We've been very fortunate as an office, and we finally broke that mark. As far as services, we basically have a very comprehensive top-to-bottom, basically from ground to keys type facility. We have obviously long-range master planning abilities, bond planning, bond promotion, the architectural work itself. We have MEP engineers, civil engineers, roof consultants, technology consultants, facility assessments, and project management and construction administration. So basically, from the time you have the idea of building a facility to the time you actually open that facility, we are able to serve you with all of those experts. Talk a little bit about design concepts. Now, there's some basic ones that we would want to share with you in our experience. One of them is that the high school or a high school should be a home away from home. When students feel comfortable, they're able to produce and achieve more than if it becomes an institutional unit. The other thing is that it should be a facility that the community is proud of. All of us can probably remember our high school, so regardless of how old we get, we always have those images and memories of that high school. So it should be something that reflects the community and that can instill some pride. The others, of course, to be safe, secure, and uplifting. And we have found that natural light is one of the best things that you can do. Not only is it part of the growing trend of green architecture that probably some of you have heard of, but more importantly, it has shown that there are studies that show that can improve test scores and improve behavior and other improvements in terms of performance for students. And obviously, this high school will probably serve as a community center. It'll be used more than just for students. There'll be after-hour activities, athletic events, all kinds of things that happen on that high school, and it should lend itself to facilitate those type of events. Another thing, it should be durable, low maintenance, and energy efficient while remaining cost effective. Some other common things you'll see in some of our high schools is a need to, in an effort to provide that security, is whether you have a centralized administration or a decentralized administration, that there's some security at that front. So when you come in that door, you're able to monitor who comes in and out of your facility. Keeping in mind that this is going to be a rather large facility, security is paramount on a facility of this size. The other is that you're going to have major components that are going to be used after hours. In this case, fine arts. So in this example that we're showing here for this high school, it's off to one end so that it can be used and is contiguous with the building in terms of the use during the day. But for after hours event, it can easily be secured at one point, and you're able to use this facility without having parents or community members walking throughout your facility. So you're able to use it as you need to. Obviously, a library is very important, dependent on what your scheme turns out to be. It should provide students with the ability to learn, and libraries are changing almost on a monthly basis. We're seeing as we go to more and more of these conferences, and they're turning more into resource centers than they are libraries. Technology has improved so much that you can have all kinds of resources for your students aside from the classical libraries that we all enjoyed it when we were in high school. The other is commons. In terms of features, basically a cafeteria, but a commons becomes more than a cafeteria. It becomes an open space that can be used for after-hours events, can be used for club meetings, it can be used for a high school dance, it can be used during the day for students to gather, meet, and study. The other is to develop a strong sense of entry. I think all of us can speak to the fact that when you drive up to a building of this size and you can't find where the front door is, that not only is going to affect your frustration in trying to find the front door, but it's going to affect your security as an administrator, because people will get lost and inevitably they're going to park somewhere and try to go into an entrance that they shouldn't be going into, whereas if there's a clear sense of entry, there's no reason why people can't find that front door and thus be able to check in properly into your facility. Another one is to be flexible and expandable. As we all know, this district is growing and it needs to plan for the future. So rather than building facilities that then require, as they grow, to remove things that are in place and then replace them somewhere else, all of our facilities come with ready-made future expansion locations so that when that time comes, or if that time comes, you're prepared to do those expansions with minimal effort. Another is a clear sense of circulation. For the administrators in the room, I'm sure they can appreciate that when you have a building this size and that many students, you want clear plans where administrators can stand in very key locations and monitor the movement of students. Now, obviously, you'll have secondary corridors to that, but the majority of your students will be going up and down that main drag, and you're able to monitor them from various points and keep traffic flowing. I'm going to briefly touch on some of our recent experience. Been very fortunate as an office. We've done 42 high schools in the state of Texas. And you can see kind of by location where those exist. We're hoping we can add one down here, but we'll see. As far as that, we've done over 35 major high schools in the last 8 years. I think it's safe to say we're probably done more high schools than any other Texas firm in the state of Texas. Of these, one of them is Judson High School, which is Wagner High School. We're actually, we built this. This was their second high school. And we're currently actually tearing down, or in the process of developing a plan to replace their existing original Judson High School. This is a high school for Northside Independent School District, Stevens High School. As you can see, you'll see some of those same key elements we were touching upon earlier in terms of circulation spaces or clear sense of entry. This is Navarro High School for Navarro ISD. Basically, it's a 2A high school for 500 students. And we basically have done, as you'll see through some of these, everything from 500 students to about 3,000 students are the high schools that we've done. But you can still see some of these same components and features in this school, which is only for 500 students, that you'll see in some of the larger ones. This is a high school for McKinney. Richardson High School, Richardson ISD. Cypress Fairbanks, this was actually one of our first high schools back in 1996. And since then, we've repeated this plan several times with a different entry. The other thing I'd like to point out is some of these pictures look, what some might consider overdone. But what I'd like to point out is that at the end of the day, all of these facilities have one thing in common, in that they all have basically a very simple facility in the background with the basic windows, box that you would expect to see. The only thing that changes is that front entry. So if you look at all of these, they're very simple designs and very clear in terms of the plan. If any money is spent, it's in that front entry, not only to define that entry, but also to define that community and that school. I guess on this one I wanted to point out, this is, we're actually doing high schools number 9 and 10 for Sci-Fair. These are our 5th or 6th high school that we're doing. We're actually building 2 high schools at the same time. And as you can see, they're virtually duplicates of each other with different colors reflective of the community in which they're going to be built. This is Tascasita High School for Humble ISD. This is College Park High School for Conroe ISD. This is Katy High School, Wiley High School, This is Barbers Hill High School for Barbers Hill ISD. And as you can see, a lot of the awards that we've been fortunate enough to receive, if you've been looking over to the left, have been value in process of design, and those are really the ones that we covet the most. This is Seven Lakes High School for Katy ISD. But at the end of the day, why PBK? I think we have a proven ability to deliver projects that are cost-effective and well-designed. Basically, when we begin the process, we basically start off with these 3 bubbles, and you pick any 2, and that will determine the third. But more importantly, we've been recognized as the leaders in cost-effective schools. We also recognize that your facility is not necessarily any of the ones you've seen already. It needs to be reflective of this community. And one of the processes that we use to try to get that reflection is to use the charrette process, which is basically getting a committee involved, getting community leaders, administrators, board members, students, teachers, principals, and having a meeting that then allows us to draw from you what your needs are, what your concerns are, and basically we serve more as facilitators at that point than architects. Most architects tend to get a high school, or any facility for that matter, go back to their office, come back, and then try to sell you on 1 or 2 of their ideas. We don't work that way. The ideas that we come up with are an evolution of that process that you were part of. So at the end of the day, it's your high school, not our high school. And then we also provide you as many options as we need to, and we're able to provide those and generate those very quickly. We also have what we refer to as our Quick Center, which is our Quality Control Center, and we're able to have experts that all their job is, their sole job is to check our documents to make sure, to ensure our quality for our documents, and more importantly, your project. We'll have a dedicated construction services group, which basically proactively monitors the construction schedule and the performance of that contractor, and basically is out there on a daily basis ensuring that all of the things that we all agree to were as part of the documents, get adhered to when they actually get to the site. So at the end of the day, why us? We have a dedicated team, which is standing here in front of you, that's dedicated to this district, as well as has the experience to do the facility that you're looking to do. We also understand your needs and your budget. We will have a dedicated architect and project manager at your meetings. We encourage a collaborative effort design process which produces a facility which reflects the needs of Brownsville ISD. We'll have a dedicated and experienced on-site field representative. And more importantly, we'll give you a high school that the entire Brownsville community can be proud of. And with that, we'll open it up to questions.
Questions from the board? Anybody want to start? No one?
20 minutes.
Doctor?
Thank you. You said you had a project manager on site on a regular basis or all the time. I don't remember what. Now, I've always heard of project managers being like a separate line of business, almost a separate industry almost. Define your project manager.
Our project manager basically deals with all the paperwork, and they can be a separate entity. And at the end of the day, if anybody has had experience working with a project manager, at the end of the day, that's what they do. They basically organize the paperwork, organize all of the schedules and paperwork that is involved in a project. Everything from pay applications to requests for information, any change orders, change directives, any paperwork that is done is tracked by that project manager, ensuring obviously always that that project is moving forward, and ultimately is responsible for that.
Only pertaining to the architectural design, correct?
In our case, it would be our entire team, so all of the engineers, the contractor, anybody involved in that particular project will be answering to that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Additional comments? Yes, Ms. Cala.
The estimated cost per square footage for a high school of 2,500 students?
I can give you ranges, and only because I don't know what, since we haven't been able to go through the process of defining what it means, because there's 2 key factors in determining costs, or that can determine a big swing in cost, and those are your finishes and your mechanical systems. If you're using rooftop units as opposed to a 4-pipe chiller system, they're polar extremes. If you're using a concrete sealed floor versus a ceramic tile, you're talking about a $5 or $6 difference times 300,000 square feet. It's a significant difference. So not knowing those things, I would say a high school of this size being designed now for bidding next year, which I assume is when you're doing it, probably between 140 and 160, somewhere in that range, to get you a quality school that is going to last 50 years, has all of the features that you would want, and is cutting-edge technology in terms of all of the components inside of it.
Additional comments? I have one. Mr. Hernandez, I noticed most of your pictures depict two-story.
Yes, sir.
And in previous conversation, is that an advantage to go in two-story as opposed to one single story? Or is it just because it's designed?
No, it's really driven by two things. Number one, it becomes more efficient. Another high cost can be, obviously, your site work. So by minimizing the footprint, by doubling it or stacking it, you're able to minimize the amount of site work that's required for a facility this size. And then the other and most obvious one is just the size. If you made it a one-story building, it would be huge. It's still going to be a huge building, but keeping it one story increases that footprint significantly. So getting from one side for a freshman or any student for that matter, getting from one side of the school to get to a class on the other side gets pretty far. So if you're able to stack them, then not only are you going horizontally, but you can travel vertically and get somewhere very quickly.
So, I mean, I guess you brought the point that it's more manageable.
More manageable.
Okay. So my question would be economics. So there is
some economics.
More expensive or?
I would say it'd be less expensive to do a two-story school than it would be a single-story school of this size.
Very good. Additional comments? Yes, ma'am.
For your subcontract work, would you be looking at people from the valley or bringing people in from upstate or?
We would work with whoever it is you want us to. I know this district because we've been fortunate enough to do work for you in the past. There are some consultants that the district uses, and we'd be happy to use them again. So.
Additional comments? Yes, sir, Mr. Aguilar.
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes, sir.
I see that Mr. Alvarado is our Rio Grande Valley representative for your architectural firm.
Yes, sir.
How accessible is he going to have to all the engineers, all the architects in your firm? And thinking of, in case something has happened here in the valley that needs to be designed or whatever it is, and he needs some help, how fast can he get that assistance from your normal headquarters?
Well,
and how much staff will there be available to really do an excellent job supervising our high school?
Right. Well, we're all interconnected, obviously, cell phones, those kinds of things, as well as email and computers and things of that nature. Now getting warm bodies here, we're literally a 50-minute flight away. But more importantly, though, we're currently doing a renovation to that office to increase the size of that office. So we anticipate in the next 6 months to be at around 4 or 5 people supporting not only that office, but this district, should we be fortunate enough to be selected for this project. So our game plan is to increase the size of that office because of our workload here.
Comments?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. Mr.
Yes, sir.
Hernandez, first, do you have a principal or a partner from your firm that's located in the valley? And the next question is, given your adherence to the charrette process, how quickly could you have the school designed and built? We've been told that this school is to come online within 2 years. And given the breadth and scope that your firm has throughout the state and the many hands, many fingers, and many projects that you have, can you deliver a school of this size within that time frame?
Okay. To answer your first question, no, we do not have a partner or a principal in the Rio Grande Valley office. But I will tell you this, that the McAllen office, unlike our other offices, are not subsets of our corporate office. The McAllen office is a subset of the San Antonio office, and I'm the partner in charge of that office, and I'm still the partner for this office by proxy. And ultimately, the responsibility is mine. If there's anything anyone here doesn't like, it's one phone call and it's taken care of. To answer your other question, 2 years, I'm assuming you're then looking at fall of 2009 to open this facility? Is that what
It's a
I'm
correction on that. It's not a 2-year project. I think it was a 3-year project.
2010, yes, that would not be a problem. And you are correct in that the charrette process, and we are only suggesting the charrette process. We are not by no means saying that that's the process that you have to use should you select us. But should you choose to do that, yes, by definition, it will accelerate the process of design and coming to a final design a lot quicker than the traditional method of us going back to our office, designing something, coming back, getting some feedback, going back to our office, because then, obviously, we're then hitting meetings that only occur most likely once a month when it comes to a board meeting to try to get approval. So the charrette process allows us to get into it a lot quicker and get to that final point.
Additional comments? Yes.
I have a kind of a series of questions that I wanted to go through.
Okay.
Your Valley Division is going to grow to 4 or 5, but currently, how many are in the Valley?
We currently have one.
Currently, you have one, and that's Mr. Alvarado?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Has the Valley Division designed any high schools?
No, sir.
Okay. Overseen the construction of any high schools?
Eli was previously in our San Antonio office and oversaw the construction of Wagner High School for Judson ISD.
Okay.
Plus some previous projects in the Houston office when he was in that office.
Will all of the design and engineering work on this project be done within your firm, or do you intend to subcontract part out to other firms?
It's either or. It's what the district chooses. We do have consultants in-house to use it and obviously produce it all in-house, or should the district choose to want us to use a local firm or somebody that is familiar with systems that they want us to use for whatever reason, their standards, whatever it may be. We've done it in the past and we'd do it again. We'd work with however the district wants us to.
All right. And my last question has to do with one of your slides indicated that you're involved in bond promotion.
Yes, sir.
And were you involved in any way in the promotion of this bond series?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
One more question? Anybody? Okay.
Jonathan, you have 9 minutes left.
9 minutes.
Wow.
You have 9
I
minutes
shouldn't have
left.
rushed.
Additional comments?
No more questions?
I'll ask a question.
Go ahead.
if you
Yes,
don't mind,
sir.
From an administration point of view. I know that the question has been that you built, I don't know, 30-plus high schools. And that's a lot of high schools. Obviously, not just you four, right?
No.
What does your staff consist of? Put it that way.
Okay. Well, I guess out of those 35, I can say that I've been involved in 7 of those. Juan?
Actually, I've been with the firm for over 11 years, and I've been just involved with it.
How many?
I've been in, yes, probably over 20 high schools, probably in the range. So I've been involved with, and I'm with PBK for over 11 years, so I'm just strictly designing of schools.
Eli Alvarado, I'm the director of the office. I've been with PBK for 8 years, and I've overseen 6 high schools.
I'm Carlos Alexander, and I'm currently involved with 2 high schools right now.
So as you can see, although we haven't done all 42 high schools, we've certainly been involved. And the 7 that I mentioned I've been there as the lead architect and the architect of record, so.
Mr. Hernandez, a question that I posed to the previous architect, based on the fact that you have work ongoing, would that impede your ability to design? So I guess that was
No, sir.
the
Actually, our
question.
San Antonio office, once again, we've been very fortunate, and our San Antonio office is growing as well. And we're going actually from 30 people to about 50 by about this time next year. And we're currently in a plan to expand our San Antonio office as well as our McAllen office to try to.
And you've done work for BISD, I assume?
Yes, sir, I have.
Blinking my eye.
McAllen ISD.
Okay. Are you presently doing McAllen?
Yes, sir. We're doing 2 elementary schools and a middle school for
My
them.
question then follow-up is, and I think Dr. Escobedo brought up project management, and I was fortunate to see and visit the Oversight Committee over there. How does that work? Because I know that they have an independent project manager.
Right. They basically.
Pro or con? The history of Brownsville ISD is we've never been on time. We've been over budget. So for whatever reason, so we would like to make sure that at least the high school is it's a monster, and we want to make sure we don't have any pitfalls there.
Right. It's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. They basically oversee the projects, but once again, they're basically monitoring paperwork. At the end of the day, they're not liable for the building that's being built. If it doesn't get finished on time, as far as I know, I don't know that there's any penalties involved. So the responsibility ultimately bears with the architect, and in our case, ourselves. And we do a lot of the same things, if not more things than they do, to be proactive in monitoring the schedule, monitoring budget, all of those things. So ultimately, if we were fortunate enough to be involved, we would provide you all of those things that a professional project manager would do
And the
without
reason I
the added
say,
fee.
the reason I say that is because when I first came on board back in 2001, we had 3 failures on our lap, based on the fact that maybe the contractor and the architect, that I could see where the miscommunication
Right. But if I could,
our staff
I'd like
was
to say
overburdened, is what I'm trying to say.
your staff has grown, and it's been incredibly receptive to any of our needs and decisions. And that's really sometimes where, if we see a district fall behind, is that there's a lack of decision-making. I can't say that for the projects that we've been involved with in this district. We've gotten all the responses we needed in a timely manner, and we've just been able to blow and go, and you have a very good group of experts within your organization.
Could you, if we decide or not choose project management, could you have that relationship with the Oversight Committee where they
Absolutely.
in turn have that
Sure, absolutely. As a matter of fact,
monthly and monthly reporting, and they know exactly, and
Right.
that, and I think it's on the website. That way, there's tremendous transparency, because we as board members, sometimes we get told on a quarterly basis, and that's too late sometimes to catch stagnation.
in
or
McAllen, we
problems.
actually, from time to time, do report to their bond oversight committee, and we'd be happy to do
Yeah,
that
I'd like
as
to see
often
that.
as you'd like us to. There's other districts where we actually provide reports which have monthly photographs, plus kind of summaries of the finances and kind of where we are on schedule, so that we're able to give you a quick snapshot without wasting more of your time in that way.
If chosen, and I'm saying you might be chosen, but that is not a problem.
No, absolutely not.
That's
And it would
the
be
other-
part of our basic services.
Okay. Yes, sir, one more question right there.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hernandez, excuse the ignorance in this question, but it's a multi-part question.
Okay.
First off, is school design school design? And by that I mean, does your experience and your firm's experience in designing and helping to construct elementary schools and middle schools assist you in your design and construction of high schools? I say that because one of your slides, you indicated, I believe it was at Novato High School, it was a high school for about 500 people. Our middle schools here, according to information provided by the district, run sometimes close to 1,000.
That's correct.
So the question really was born of that. If you're building a high school for 500, is that equivalent in any way, from a design standpoint, to designing middle schools or elementary schools of the same size?
Right. Conceptually, yes. So if we're looking at this facility from 10,000 feet, you could say there's a lot of similarities between one and the other. The difference comes in putting all of those pieces together. The bigger the facility gets, and in this case, 300,000 probably square feet plus, you have a lot more components. And I think the value that we're able to provide this district is the ability to know how those components work, who needs to be next to each other, adjacencies and functions, to provide something that becomes very effective not only for the day-to-day needs of the administrators that are trying to deliver a curriculum, but also for the needs of the community and all of those other events that happen at a high school. So I think those kinds of things that we've learned over our course of doing high schools are things that we can bring to here. And at the end of the day, that's all we're doing, is we bring them to you and express them to you, but ultimately it's your decision whether you want to use them or not, because we're not here, once again, to try to sell you one of those images that we had on the wall. We're here to develop what Brownsville needs.
Thank you.
One more question, just
Yes,
for the
sir.
benefit of everybody, because they didn't see the resume. How many educational facilities have you all built, say, within the last 10, 15 years? Total, middle schools, high schools?
The last 5 years, we've been averaging about $500 million in construction a year. We average about between 15 and 20 facilities, depending on the size, obviously, year by year, that we open. So we've been very fortunate, and we continue to grow. And once again, this is all we do. So we don't do hotels, we don't do houses, we don't do churches, we don't airports, we don't do any of the thing. We have over 200 people that are exclusively dedicated to schoolwork. That's it. That's all we do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Take a short break. Let the next designer, Janak and Associates, set up. We'll hear from presenter C, which is Janak Associates. Go ahead.
Hi. Thank you. My name is Raymond Janak with Janak and Associates, and we appreciate the opportunity to be here. We want to stay on our schedule, so we've tried to compress our presentation so we have time for questions and answers. I've looked at your ranking sheet, and I think most of them are answered. I don't have cost per square foot as part of my presentation, but I'll be glad to answer that because we feel we have recent experience in that area. I said, my name is Raymond Janak. This is Rolando Garza. Juan Mujica, and Ana Salas. I guess for better or worse, what you see is what you get. We're here not only to present, but we're here as the folks that have the experience that we're going to talk to you about today, and go from there. The firm was founded in 1988. We have offices in Harlingen and Corpus Christi. We have professional liability insurance, and we're a historically underutilized business. And as I go through here, please look at the images, because images are intended to be an example of our work, okay? Schools are our business. One of the things we'd like to strongly come forth with you is, with Janak and Associates, you're not taking a chance. We have 291 schools school projects since 1988. That doesn't include the experience that I had with a prior firm in schools, which almost doubles that. So you can see we have 97 elementary school projects, middle school, 34 high school projects, colleges, universities, so on and so forth. Part of our clientele are repeat clients, which I like to think is clients that we've done a good job for, and that's why we've been hired again. We've been working with Harlingen since 1989. We recently completed an $80 million bond issue with the school district. 3 firms participated in that bond issue, and after the bond issue was completed on future projects, it was our firm who was selected to continue with the work. This school on the right is a school in Corpus Christi that was a prototype school. It's been repeated twice. We're going to repeat it a 3rd time as well. We've got numerous clients in the Valley, as you can see, and we're currently doing work with a lot of Valley clients: Rio Hondo, Port Isabel, Far San Juan Alamo, and Harlingen. We welcome you to, and we're going to leave you this presentation, we'll welcome you to check our references. I think that's probably a strong indication of, can we deliver what we say? Are Janak and Associates on time and on budget? And are they accessible? And I welcome you to ask any of our references that. One of the things, when I say what you see is what you get, we're not here to hopefully get selected and you're going to see a whole new set of faces when the work begins. I'm a hands-on principal with the firm. I'm going to be involved in all aspects of it. I'll be the one that comes to the board with presentations. I don't know what if you have monthly board meetings or when you require your architects to be here, but I'm a hands-on principal. I'll be from the beginning, from today until the building's occupied. We know schools that, when you've participated in 291 schools, you think, well, you could do one in your sleep. But we like to work in an interactive process. We want to make sure that the superintendent, the board of trustees, whoever you designate, I understand you have an oversight or building and grounds committee. There's teachers, students, parents, and on our side of the ball, there's programming, designers, consultants, quality control. We have a quality control system in place, spec writers, project architects, and construction inspection, in which I will speak to you in a minute about. In-house, we have in-house planning services, obviously design capabilities. We're a LEED certified firm. Rolando is our LEED certified architect. That means leadership in energy and environmental design. That has to do with new green buildings and trying to design things that are more sustainable and more environmentally friendly. Construction administration, we have a very scientific and experienced construction administration staff. This right is a part of San Diego High School, but we have interior designers. We have 2 registered interior designers with the state of Texas. We have feasibility assessments and of course master planning. With a district that's already ran a bond issue, well, you say, well, why master planning? But we think that even on one campus, master planning is important. So where are you going to grow in the future? What are the future capabilities of this site and of this building for the client? We like to do what we call on-site design. We came from one today in Harlingen where we actually bring our design team. All of us went to our clients' offices, and we talked to principals, we talked to teachers, we talked to maintenance personnel, and the design evolved in their offices. We think that's the best way to communicate and design a school facility. Accessibility, I guess the only way I could tell you is that nobody's more accessible than we are, and our references will bear that out. This is one of the schools that was originally done in Corpus Christi that's been repeated. This is an on-site design process where we come to the school district and we'll actually design the school at the school district, and when we leave, we'll have a consensus. What's good about this process is it's not that you get input and you reach, one of the things is you reach consensus when you leave, that everybody understands why and why. But one of the good things, because we have a 100% success ratio, is everybody understands why you didn't do it that way. You know, it's not like we're going to come back and say, what do y'all think? You were part of the evolution of the design, and all of those concepts that are in the trash can, you are part of because that didn't work because of security, because of sun angles, because of whatever it might have been. So I think that's why it has a 100% success ratio. The school on the right is an elementary school which was received a Design for Excellence Award in TASB. Cost control. That's one of the things that we're going to talk about. We feel it's our responsibility to monitor cost control. It's our responsibility to meet your budget and keep you in budget. It's our responsibility to make sure you have cost-saving strategies throughout the project. These are some examples from Eagle Pass High School, which was under budget, to elementary schools, the new McAllen Convention Center, which is the one on the lower bottom, on the bottom. Our budget was $38,725,000. On a very complex project, our awarded price was $36,800,000, and we think that that's a tribute to our ability to cost estimate and keep the project on budget. The building actually was $50 million because we added about $14 million worth of site work to the project, and we would love for you to see that project. Do we keep our timelines? Corpus Christi has probably 50 to 60 architectural firms. We were selected by the school district out of all firms to do a project that had to be virtually demolished, renovated, and occupied in 1 year. So we took a 20 to 21 month schedule and compressed it to 11 months. And the school was occupied in August, as we promised the school it would be. Delivery methods, we're familiar with all of them. I won't take time in this presentation, but sealed bid proposals, construction manager at risk, the straight bids. So we can talk to you about the pros and cons, but sealed bid proposals is pretty much the one that most districts are going with in this area. This is San Diego High School on the right. We're within minutes of the project. We're responsive, and to keep a record, and we're used to giving regular reports to the school district. We received an addenda the other day. Mr. Tapia sent us the site. I guess one of the other firms had asked for it, so I thought, well, why don't I take this site and why don't I do a quick concept design of what a high school would be like on this site, just to show you some of the issues that we look at when we design a high school. So believe it or not, this is where high schools begin, on a sketch like this. And so we began with your site, and the black arrow is what we call Main Street, which is normally in a high school. It's a wide area where you don't have claustrophobia with the students, and you divide the academic areas and the active areas, such as the gymnasiums and the fine arts. We have the entry, the commons off of Main Street, the administration as you walk in. Cafeteria multipurpose, very accessible for nighttime activities. Security around the perimeter. Most schools in today's world have to be secured. Library media center. Academics. Specialty classrooms. Specialty classrooms, I'm talking about science labs, those kind of things that are common to all of the grades. Fine arts, athletics. Okay, and then you can see the corridors are straight lined. They're unobstructed corridors. I know as educators and folks that have to control high schools, you want unobstructed corridors in your high school. We have outdoor milling and eating areas. That's also an area where your cafeteria can expand in the future if necessary. We have an entry visitor parking, some various parking areas off of the bus drop coming off of the other side. The orange arrows reflect the athletics ability to go to the practice and playing fields. And then the entrance area is right by the admin for emergency vehicles, and if it's unobstructed. Emergency vehicles there. And then, of course, green space. You don't want a sea of asphalt or all buildings, so we've got green space allocated within there. And how does it grow? These are areas where you could grow. We recommend that you design your core facilities for the maximum size that you foresee the school to be, and we can always add classrooms, we can always add a gymnasium, we can always add to the fine arts and band. Quality. This is what we define quality. Does it meet the client's needs? Is it functional? Is it safe? Is it maintainable and durable and efficient? We know you have the money to build a high school now, but you're not going to have the money in 5 years to come and take care of maintenance items. We want your high school not to have maintenance issues for the next 20 years. Is it aesthetically pleasing? Does it match the campus architecture that you already have? And most importantly, does it inspire the students in excellence and pride? This is the design award winner from TASB. This was a Sinton school. This is a school in McAllen. This is a school that was repeated 5 times in Eagle Pass. Believe it or not, this is the same school. We just changed the interior and exterior look of the building. These are the 2 schools in Corpus Christi. This is the same school with a different look that's just been completed. This just won an award by the American School and University Design for Excellence Award. This is Moses Vela Middle School in Harlingen. I'd be glad to show you that school. It's 30 minutes away. Eagle Pass Junior High. San Diego High School. Eagle Pass High School. Laredo LBJ. The photograph on the right, this is Main Street. This is what we like to do in order to have students between classes not in a compact situation. I'm not an educator, but I've done a lot of schools, and I know that claustrophobia leads to things that you don't want to happen in a corridor. This is the new McAllen Convention Center, which was inaugurated last week. It is an example of regional architecture, which we think we did well, and we'd be glad to show you that facility. About $50 million. Thank you. And as far as sizes, I'd also like to, I don't have an image of it, but we just completed a $70 million arena and convention center in Corpus Christi for the city of Corpus Christi. And we've been hired to do follow-up work on the Bayfront in Corpus Christi. A testament, I would think, to the good job we did on the $70 million job.
Thank you, Mr. Janek. Questions from board members? Ms. Galvan?
As you said, you would provide us possibly with an estimated cost per square foot?
For the high school?
Yeah, for 2,500 students.
2,500 students. Well, I think, depending on your gymnasiums, I assume you're going to have at least 2, perhaps 3. I would say you probably need to estimate about 150 square foot per student. And I think probably the dollars per square foot in today's world is going to be between $125 and $150 a square foot.
Additional comments? Anybody?
This image, by the way, is the Arena Convention Center.
Mr. Gonzalez, you have any questions for Mr. Janek?
Same questions I've asked the other firms is the size of your firm. I know you have work. Total numbers and what
We have
would be
about
dedicated
15 to 17 folks.
15 to 17 folks. And how many people will be assigned? You all to this project?
Us and more. we would have construction. I was trying to go fast. I failed to mention construction administration, okay? Construction administration, we think, is one of the most important aspects. You know, all architects love to be designers. I love the design process, okay? But if you don't have construction administrators that during the design process can look at your drawings, plans and specifications and make sure they're quality and they're coordinated, we're going to have problems in the field, okay? But we have construction administrators that probably have about $150 million worth of experience, a lot of it with our firm, some of it with their previous firms. And that's all they do is construction administration. They understand building and construction. They understand how to avoid a change order before a change order even has a chance to nest.
I have one question real quick that I asked the other firms. Mr. Jack, your firm presently is constructing or not constructing, but designing high school plans or projects?
I'm sorry?
Is your firm in the process right now of designing or has contracts with other schools to design high schools?
We have completed all our high schools right now.
So you're free, there was nothing to impede you to take on this job?
Not at all.
I don't know, I mean, the size of your firm, I don't know how many individuals you have on your staff, but that was one of the questions I was asking.
I can tell you that there's more than us that are going to be involved, and of course our consultants, and I know that's one of the questions here. And we only work with consultants that have experience in high schools and that have a proven track record. If I come to you and say I'm going to meet that schedule and I'm going to meet that budget, I want our consultants to make that same commitment to me. So we use only proven consultants that have high school experience. So to answer your question, there would probably be a total between our consultants and ourselves of 10 to 12 folks working on a project of this size.
And then your Valley projects, you use Valley people as far as the engineering work, or do you have a set group?
I don't have a set group. We have a structural engineer. Actually, he's from Brownsville, but he offices in Harlingen. It's Rolando Rubiano. I think Rolando is one of the best structural engineers, not only in the Valley, but in South Texas. He's efficient. He's good. We use, quite frankly, we haven't had mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. We don't have that great relationship with a firm here that we feel can take on this job, but we would be open to suggestions if you have one. Otherwise, we have firms that work in Corpus Christi, San Antonio, and Houston and have a lot of high school experience.
Doctor?
Could you just recap the accessibility of your firm, not only to the district and this board, but to the Bond Oversight Committee? How accessible will you be to the board, the district, and the citizens committee?
Well, first of all, schools are our business. We're going to start out by telling you that Raymond Janak is going to be the project manager for the project. Okay, I'm a principal, I'm an owner, and I have 20-something years. I had brown hair when I started doing schools. And our accessibility is one that, I mean, we're here for board meetings, I'm here for board meetings, and to prove our accessibility is we're going to design the school here in Brownsville. I mean, we're going to bring our design team here, and we're going to stay here for 2 days, 5 days, 7 days, whatever it takes, in order to come out with a high school that meets the design requirements of Brownsville ISD or the users. So we'll be accessible during the design project, and our construction administrators during construction are used to staying multiple days out of the office on a job site. The McAllen Convention Center, we assigned 2 very experienced construction administrators that would sometimes stay in McAllen for 2 and 3 days at a time because of the size and complexity of the job. You're talking about that size project, maybe not 50 million, but you're talking about 30 plus.
Thank you.
Ms. Galvan?
Have you done any projects in Brownsville?
Yeah, we've done some soccer fields for you about 10, Mr. Tapia, I don't know, 10 years ago, and that was our extent of our work. We've done a lot of, we're working with Port Isabel, we want a shot. We've worked all around you. We've worked with Port Isabel, Harlingen, and we've never had the opportunity to, Rio Hondo, we've been working with them since, we started with a roof project in Rio Hondo, and we've done a high school in Rio Hondo, we've done an elementary school, we've done all kinds of remodels, so.
Additional comments? We'll open it up to the committee. Anybody wants to field any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, doing your construction observation part of it, you know,
Yes, sir.
30% of the contract is construction.
Yes, sir.
Do you anticipate having somebody on a regular basis at the job site?
Yes, sir.
How many days of the week are they going to be there? Are they going to report every day? How's it going to work for you?
Well, I'm not sure that every day is necessary for the entire length of the project, but those of you that understand the process of building a high school of this size, that early on, there's going to be some times where it's only required to be there once, maybe twice a week. During latter parts of the project, as in the McAllen Convention Center, our construction administrators were there 3 to 4 days a week. And we're committed to have that same team on board with the same process. And that's another reference we'd like you to check for us.
Additional comments? Additional comments?
Well, I didn't know if I hit all of the areas that your ranking and evaluation was on. I don't know if I did a good job or a bad job.
The only question that I was following up with most of the people that are, all the other presenters is the project management aspect. Brownsville's history, or Brownsville ISD's history is we haven't delivered projects on time, and we've had a history of having to go against bond and for lack of performance. So I don't know, I guess project management is a strong concern. It is for me.
I'd like to address that, but go ahead.
Go ahead. Basically, and we do have a bond oversight committee, and there's going to have to be a relationship between the architect and the committee to make sure that they get not quarterlies, but maybe monthly reports as to progress and what's going down and what's coming up.
Addressing both of you, I mean, we built our practice since 1988 on doing schools on time and in budget, okay? And we really feel like we have a reputation for being on time. If you check with Harlingen Consolidated ISD and ask them, out of the $80 million bond issue that we just assisted them with, which one of the architects was either on time or under or early with the projects, it was us. Because we make a commitment. If you have an unrealistic schedule, we're going to tell you that. But we can do aggressive schedules, like the project I told you about in Corpus Christi. We were selected because of that reputation to do a project in 11 months, design and build, that normally takes about 21 months.
I have a question.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Janak, I understand that in a firm like yours, the buck stops with you, and you are the owner and the principal of the firm.
Yes, sir.
So my question to you is, in your Harlingen office, which is closer to Brownsville, obviously, than Corpus Christi is, what level of experience does the top architect in that office have in designing schools? And secondly, is that person, he or she, a partner in your firm?
Well, we've got several associates. I'm the sole owner of the practice. Juan Mujica here is from Harlingen. Juan has, 7 years to 10 years experience with complex school projects with us and with previous firms. But you know, we work, the Corpus Christi and the Harlingen office are one office. I mean, I'm in the Valley because of the nature of the fact that most of our work is in the Valley. I'm in the Valley 2 to 3 days a week. So we come to you, like we were in Harlingen doing an on-site design. All of us were there today to do an on-site design with the school district there on an elementary school.
Thank you.
Additional comments? Thank you, Mr. Janak.
Thank you for having us. We hope we can help you in the future. Thank you.
We'll take a short break to have presenter D.
We have some books of our presentation.
Yeah, go ahead. Mata Villarreal Garcia Design Group, 5 minutes. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mata Villarreal Garcia Design Group, LLP. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. My name is Hector Rene Garcia. I'm an architect and partner with our firm. With me tonight are Danny Villarreal, my partner. Fernando Mata, my other partner, is out of town and sends his regrets. I have Mario Garza, our intern architect, and Fred Hernandez, our civil engineer. So on behalf of our firm, I want to thank you for the opportunity to present to you tonight. And we'd like to break down our presentation into 3 sections. The presentation of our completed and of our completed work, some of the methods that we use as far as our design and construction observation and coordination, and then questions and answers. The first project I have for you tonight is the campus that we established for South Texas College in Stark County. The project is 5 separate buildings, the ones in color, and there's one that's not shown as, is shown as a future. And this particular project was $11.5 million. It encompassed a general academic building, which contained the core of the general classrooms, their allied health program, and the auditorium. The elements that we use for this particular buildings all contain elements from Fort Ringgold, which is the historic fort in that area. And we developed them and then made contemporary elements out of it. This particular building, slow down, push back. The building before this one, this is their library, and then their all-night computer service center on the right there. The Workforce Development Project, the Student Activities Building, which is basically their student union. It houses activity rooms, the student government, and the cafeteria. And the Student Services Building, which houses all the financial aid and payment and the Dean of Students in that particular campus. And if you'll go back to the first one. The particular buildings in this complex, this is our first, as a complex, what the college was trying to do is establish a face for the college. And the 3 buildings up on top are basically rectangular brick buildings. And so the college had no image. And what they wanted was for the students at this particular school, South Texas College, to have a college experience, and that they be able to be proud of where they went to school, and that it not be nondescript. So we were there to provide an image as well as space needs for them. The timeline was very tight in that the college was advertising their course schedule and classes being offered, and had we not had the coordination that we did on this project, there was no place to hold the classes being offered. So a lot of coordination was done on this project. Timelines were met, very tight restraints, both money, and in the end, the client is very pleased. This is our first National Design Award winner, and it was designated as the top design in the $11 to $25 million range of a university campus or college campus in the United States last year. Okay? Just flip through them. Edinburgh High School. We began this project September 7th, 2001. The programming and design were basically over a 1.5-year period, and it was completed in 22 months. It is 322,000 square feet, and the cost was $32 million. It was delivered on time and within budget. The complex as a whole, as you see it there, the academic wings, which comprise the triangular areas and the L shape, the existing facility where they were at was extremely tight, narrow corridors, a lot of student problems. So one of the program requirements was that we spread out the students and give them space to breathe. The priority here was to allow the student to have an experience throughout the day and not be in such an enclosed environment. And then the support buildings, which the library is up near the corner on the left-hand side, and then the band, choir, athletic and PE, all of those areas towards the back. In this particular project, we had a construction manager type situation, and we had our weekly meetings at the insistence of ourselves and the general contractor, or the construction manager. That helped the coordination here because the logistics were, we dealt with a lot of people. We dealt with all the people in the programming, that the different departments, ranging from the school board to the administration, the principal, every faculty department, through athletics and so forth. And then we also coordinated that with all of our design team, and then the construction manager was brought in. In this particular project, one of the things was that the money was tight. At $32 million, it was tight because for the same amount they had bid a high school 4 years before, and for more square footage, about 40,000 square feet, we had to get more square footage for about the same budget. And so you have to do a lot of homework, and so they asked us to be practical, but keep it in budget. Unfortunately, one of the things that the school district did as well was that the property was bought before testing was done. And the testing of the soils and so forth wasn't completed until we were in contract documents. And then it was discovered that the soil was so poor, we had to take $2 million and put it in piers 35 to 50 feet deep. And at that point, you're not going to touch the roof, you're not going to touch the HVAC, take it out, give us a practical building. We will take care of the aesthetics later. And so they're pleased with the work, but it is a basic design. They got the square footage, in this case, which we always say there's three factors. There's the cost, the square footage, the budget that you have, the square footage that you're wanting, and then the material. Normally, you will get two of those to select, and then we take the third. And we work with that combination. In this particular instance, the district chose budget and square footage. So then the materials are reflected in that. The only thing here, we try and keep them in the three elements to where they're comparable or comparable. But the square footage here was just stretched to the limit because they wanted to offer so many programs. So then it starts affecting other things. The interior quarters here. This is an auditorium that they have, a lecture hall, and then an area for the students to hang out after lunch. The site, which if you saw the site, it's wrapped around a courtyard, and there's so much site work here. It's 80 acres, but yet there's not a single tree on campus. The landscaping, the district said that we had a design for them, $350,000 for a landscaping, and that they would count on parents donating. 3 years later, nothing has been donated. So if you see it lacking, there's reasons for that. Okay, next. There's 4 of these areas. We've even drawn on our own I do artwork as a hobby, and I've done collages for them because the principal wants to decorate. I said, well, you know, you've got a top-level art department. Use one of these as an art gallery. You have so many championship banners. Use one as a Hall of Champions, things like that. But a lot of times it's like, well, that's too much work. So let's go on. Okay, this is the Veterans Memorial 9th Grade Academy. The sections that you see in blue are the completed portions of this project. The ones that repeat up there around the semicircle, those are future wings. This is a 9th grade campus, 220,000 square feet. It was budgeted at $21 million. It came in at 19.5. And the future phases is that this will become a future high school for San Benito. And it currently houses all their 9th grade and a career in technology for the entire district. And so there's engineering, law, health careers that are offered. And then down on the bottom left-hand corner is the vocational program, which is the Sunny Brazil Agricultural Complex, which houses a 1,000-seat arena and different barns for the swine, cattle, and goats and sheep. That particular facility alone was $3 million, and it's quite large. You can almost put the football field underneath the show arena. As I said, this is phase 1. We'll show you some photographs. The campus works around, once again, a large courtyard. This is phase 1 of their landscaping. And the canopy that you'll see looping the campus, that contains all the support services, their chilled water system, their electrical, their technology, everything is there and it's accessible, instead of having it buried. I met with the principal recently on this particular project, and she was telling me that she didn't understand everything when they first moved in. But now that they've been there 4 years, now she sees how it was supposed to work and how the students are using it and how necessary it was to have that courtyard in the middle. And at first she thought it was a distraction, it was just too large. But now when she looks at the scope and the scale of everything, that it's just what it should be. We also have on the upper right-hand corner our project areas, and the classrooms wrap around those project areas. It has the butterfly roof and the clear stories. And what that's intended to do is that this particular school, the students leave the classroom, they set up shop in the middle, and that encourages other teachers in their team teaching and their block coursing to come out and work joint projects. And she said that she also gets a feel for her teachers as to who is using that space and who is not, and who's actually going the extra mile for the student. Okay, next. Okay, on a different scale, the alternative high school for Mercedes. We just completed this. It's a little small jewel of a building, and in fact, we were just punch listing last week, so I don't have photographs with the furniture completed. But the district has moved in, and basically this was a school that has two different programs operating in it. You have the voluntary side, which is students that want to finish school in 3 years and graduate and move on. And then you have the mandatory side, which is your alternative education. So we had to deal with that, and it's on a small scale, but for that particular district, we got it on time and on budget for them. I saw the principal of Whataburger the other day, and she says, "You don't know what you're doing to me, because now kids are actually committing things to actually come here." And so, very pleased with it, but once again, coordination, understanding the program, and listening to what it is that your client needs. You don't have to make a statement, but you do have to complete everything on time and in budget. One of the things that we try to do with these projects, every one of the projects you've seen thus far has been delivered on time and on budget, but the goal there has been that the coordination part, our goal is to do it once and to do it right. We take the program and we meet with you and we hash that out thoroughly, and everybody signs off on it. And what we try to do is take the program, translate that into the contract documents, which are the blueprints, and then translate that into the completed finished building. Each one of them, each phase within the budget, so that the end result is in the budget. It's not our intent to redraw, because we start losing time for the district and money overall in the project. And that's a drawing of what that particular school looks like. It's all done in block and then orange brick in the clear story area. This one we did in December. This is a 6th grade campus, and the reason it's 6th grade, that is what the district can afford right now. They can't afford anything else. This is meant to be a middle school. And so they've decided to build phase 1, which is the core of the facility with administration, library, cafeteria, and the gym, and then leave and only put in the 6th grade, and then they'll add the 7th and 8th grade as they can afford it. This particular building came in, it's 96,000 square feet in this phase, and it came in roughly running at $112 a square foot. But in this particular case, we also had $750-some thousand in site work fees that was paid for by the school district because the city doesn't have money to pay for it, and their infrastructure cannot meet the demands of the school. And we're also having to go about 1.5 miles away to connect to anything. So if I take that that amount of money out, that $750,000, this school came in at $105 a square foot 2 months ago. 96,000 square feet. You see the classrooms to the right, administration, cafeteria up on top, and then the angled part at the bottom has the library in the middle, which is the core, and then the gymnasium, which will seat 1,000, and then the PE dressing rooms and a beginner's band hall and choir. Riverside Middle School, which is on the military highway in La Paloma, This particular school is meant to house the children from La Encantada, La Paloma, and Rangerville. And so it was meant to be a community center. And being that the bulk of the neighborhood is Mexican, it was done around a courtyard. And we also have a master plan where the wings will actually attach in future additions and create a secondary courtyard. But it was also seen to, this particular project was meant to work not only during school hours, but after hours for the community. So there's several factors in here that were involved during the programming session that we dealt with the community. We tried to use colors that were quite Mexican in their material and in the brick and so forth on the exterior. And then on the interior, we work with the district. In some of the areas, it's school colors. In others, it's using partial school colors with others to liven it up. You see the corridors on the left and top, the gym in the middle, and the library at the bottom. And the library is sunken 2 feet down so that the shelving is 6 feet. And then as the corridor, as you're walking, is basically the windows are at 4 feet so that you can look in and take a look at the library, which is basically the heart of the school. Berta Cavazza Middle School in San Benito. This particular one is 156,000 square feet, and there's one more wing for a future phase. One of the things with San Benito, when we first went to San Benito, they didn't know us. We were energetic and so forth. They hired us to do a 12-classroom, $800,000 addition to what was the old Berta Cavazza. 11 years later, we are completing now the final phase, and we have completed for San Benito $125 million worth of work. So we take advantage of the opportunity, and our repeat business, I think, says quite a bit about the work that we do. On this particular one, this is the entry area, and then there's also a courtyard area for the students to eat outside. Interior quarters, library. Elma Barrera Elementary School. This particular school was based around a concept which is the 7 kinds of smart was the multiple intelligence theory that Dr. Gardner, I believe, Howard Gardner, developed at Harvard. And so the whole curriculum is based on this concept. And so we did an architectural interpretation of that curriculum. It's 102,000 square feet elementary school. And it's broken down into different houses for the pre-KK and 1, 1 and 2, and 3 and 4. And at the back, you see, it's a complete high school gym, and their high school comes to play the games here. The interior has a lot of color. We like to involve the community in our projects. And in this particular one, when we program, we also program with the children. And the patterns that you see on the floor, we had a competition art project for the kids, and they did paper weaving. And then so the most interesting designs were judged and then selected for the patterns on the floor. So when you involve the community and you include them in the process, you keep them informed, they own the building. Some of the projects that we had at San Benito that we did as remodeling and additions to, I remember every time we walked up Monday morning, there's barbed wire and so forth around the campus, and yet the maintenance crew is there cleaning the graffiti off. You know, nobody cared, it appeared. So it was a matter of going with the principals. We walked the neighborhoods, we talked to people, we included them in the conversation, and the chain link and the barbed wire came down, new construction went up, and there wasn't graffiti on there. You know, you have to take ownership and make the community want to feel ownership for that. Fred Booth Elementary, right in the heart of San Benito downtown. And this is also in a very transient neighborhood. We also had to deal with many different types of neighbor conditions, you know, business, private, and so forth. And so it's the concept of the school is once again built around a courtyard. A very Mexican neighborhood. We had 300 people, parents, participate in the programming. And from that, a committee we kept throughout the design. The principal here told me that her student UIL participation increased 50%. Her parental involvement increased 65%, and she owed it all to the school. She was saying, I basically have to kick them out at 5, otherwise I wouldn't go home. And so that's the type of goal that you work towards in a school, getting the people, the users, to take ownership. Dr. Garza Elementary, which is along the expressway there in San Benito. Different names have been given to this, but the official name is Dr. Garza Elementary. Okay. And believe me, I think I've heard them all. The children from day one accepted this building, and they understood the concept. It was interesting. The children understood the concept from the day they moved in. It was the adults who had the problem. And so, you know, and that's who we designed it for. We designed it for the children. But the principal from this school was recently assigned, and she called me up the day she was reassigned. Not that she was in shock or anything, but what she was saying is, I didn't know what I had until I lost it. And she says, where I am now, you need to get over here and help me. She says, I realized what a well-designed building did for me. And so that's a compliment. I waited 10 years for it, but it was well worth it. And this is a school in La Encantada. On this particular one, we had to work around existing buildings. So some of the shapes are not necessarily something from our part. It was things that we had to work around. And this most recent one, Judge Oscar de la Fuente Elementary, San Benito had asked us if we would do a prototype elementary for them. And Mr. Moon, whom we had worked with at Rangerville, he was moved to this campus, and he said, floor plan-wise, that it works like an elementary should work. And so he was extremely pleased with this, and we had worked with him on a very difficult project, and so this was a joy to have him back. And then Central Middle School, which had buildings from the 1920s, the original high school and junior high from 1922 and 25, and then it had buildings anywhere from 1940 to 1990. And so a lot of them were just basically, if you look at the plan, shoved in there just to meet student demand. So we were hired to start making a master plan over several phases and get this thing, this campus back to shape. And so we've designed a gymnasium for them. This is the 1925 junior high, and we created 6 classrooms, some administrative offices, and then the old library became an art gallery. And then this is the 1922 high school, which no one knew or no one remembered that there was actually an auditorium in this building. And so the school district many years ago had come in and put 2 floors in there on their own and had classrooms in there. So we carved that back out, and it's a recital hall. And then there's a basement in here as well. And the old shop, the garage shop, became the drama lab. And then San Benito Greyhound Stadium, which we completed this fall, 11,000 seats, $4.5 million. Okay? And once again, that's the parameters that we work with, the square footage, the material, and the budget.
We'll open it up for questions, but there's about 5-6 minutes left. So, board members, anybody wants to, Doctor?
So would you please recap the number of schools you built, and of those, how many have been high schools?
High schools, as a firm, 3. I have experience with several more.
Thank you.
Additional comments?
How much would you say as an estimate square footage for a high school of 2,500 students cost?
Okay. A high school that was bid recently, one bidder, it came in at $198 a square foot. The budget on that particular high school went from 44 to 56 to 66, and it came in at $78 million. Somewhere along the line, there was a lack of coordination and a lack of discipline in keeping things under control. It should not have gotten out of hand. The project as bid was $198 a square foot. Now they're having to backtrack, so they're looking at delaying the opening, redrawing, and rebidding certain items. That's where you have to keep control in this. Currently, I figure by the time you're ready to open this, which would be as far as open it up for bids, you're looking at a timeline of 14 months or so, 15 months, to do all the process and get to the completed drawings. And so if we're looking at that, you're looking at $50 million, let's say, you're looking at 300 to 320,000 square feet. It would come in, I would say, roughly about $148 to $156 a square foot. It all depends where you want to put your money, though. If you want a lot of aesthetics and so forth that the public will see, or you can keep it plain and simple, and put it on the inside that will be used on a daily basis by student and staff.
Additional comments? I have one question real quick, and I'll pass it on. One level, you designed 3 high schools, I take it? How many are 2-level or 1 floor?
All of them are 1 level. We did discuss, when we did Edinburgh High School, there was a discussion for a 2-level high school. And they had just completed Economides High School. And so we went and toured that, we walked through. But the district felt that a large part of their discipline problems was because it was on 2 levels. So the way Edinburgh High School is arranged, every wing has an assistant principal. It's broken down into schools within the school. And so that way they were able to manage control. The courtyard also helps because there's the sight lines and so forth that we looked at. And so the whole thing was designed first to get the students in an expanded form, but secondary to eliminate as much as possible any trouble with the students.
And you don't have any projects ongoing right now that are high school design?
No, we've just completed our last one.
So you'd be open, you would be free to?
Yes, sir. We have a staff of 25. Everything we do is drawn in-house. We have an architect the architect you see from day one will be the architect that you see in the design, in the contract documents, at board meetings, at the job site. We also have our own general contractor. We have a gentleman in our office. I would visit the job site one day a week, and as the project grows, it goes from 2 hours to all day. Our general contractor on staff used to have his own firm. We hired him away, and he visits on a separate day. So then we have our separate notes, we compare that, and we're able to attend to the contractor. We're also within reach to where we have work from Eagle Pass down to San Benito right now. And so we also try to hire a consultant so that if it's going to take me an hour to get here, our consultant can drive over, start processing the problem, start getting a solution underway, and then when we come in, we're able to complete that.
Okay, I'll open it up for the committee. They'd like any questions? Mr. Ray?
You mentioned a school that came in at $198 a square foot. Is that something that you designed?
No, sir, that's someone else. We are doing an elementary school for that particular district, but we were meeting with their facilities director, and he said, what could we have done different? And I said, well, where was the control? Who was controlling this thing, and how did it get so out of hand that your budget more than doubled? So we discussed that, and then I asked, I said, did you look at the possibility, since the campus has 7 different buildings, and the one firm is from Temple that bid the job, I said, did you think or look at the possibility of having, let's say 5 different local contractors build the buildings, and then with the site work contractor, tie the whole thing together? He says, is that allowed? I said, absolutely. I've worked on projects like that. And I said, you keep the locals happy, the local contractor is able to bid, but I said, it involves even more coordination, so you have to be at the top of your game. And so, looking outside the box, you have to. Otherwise, if you've got blinders on, you're doing a disservice to your client and your community.
Thank you.
One more question. Anybody?
Maybe I didn't hear, but where did you say your offices were located at?
We have our office in McAllen. Danny lives in Harlingen, I live in Wesco, Fernando lives in McAllen. But I start my day off in San Benito, And so we tailor ourselves to what we need to. And so we're within 45 minutes, 30 minutes. And when you run your project like Edinburgh High, we met every Tuesday for 22 months. And those things stretched out, but we had all the project team there. Decisions could be made there, so the project kept flowing smoothly. And that's why we finished on time. At times there's things that you don't want to hear, but that have to be said and have to be agreed on and decided right there. So this type of process really helps. And I could go away and show up once a month. I could have interns come in, but I'm the one that's after the job. Our firm is the one that is promising you the things if we were to get selected, and we have to complete that. So that's why we have a partner involved in every phase. We bring in our assistants with us, we bring in our consultants with us, because that's a project team, and we require them to be there for those meetings. But it's always an architect that can make that decision. My intern's not going to be out there having to make a phone call and get approval to do that. And so that has worked for us. That has gotten us the work that we've gotten, and we're going to keep doing it that way. We'll be there. The architect in charge will be there at the beginning, and he will be handing the keys to you at the end.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Time's up.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. There'll be a break of 5 minutes for the last presenter, Reich, Ogden, Figueroa, Alex Architects, E. 5 minutes. Alex Architects. Go ahead, Mr. Ogden.
My name is Dan Ogden. Firm is Reich, Ogden, Figueroa, Alex Architects, also known as ROFA. You have here tonight, Mr. Reich has been retired. He's emeritus for many years. The O is me, Dan Ogden. The F is Luis Figueroa, right here. And the A is Mike Alex, behind me. To lead our presentation tonight, his partner, Mike Alex, from our Harlingen office. Mike.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. First of all, I just want to say thank you for giving us this opportunity to present. I know it's late. We'll try to be brief. I know y'all have had 4 architects in front of us, so thank you for giving us this opportunity this late in the evening. We are a 60-year-old firm, and we've worked exclusively here in the Rio Grande Valley. We have offices in McAllen and in Harlingen, and we've designed over 400 educational facilities ranging from school districts, community colleges, and universities. We offer staff in our Harlingen and McAllen office that are very accomplished employees, and we can quickly, because we are in Harlingen, quickly and effectively answer any questions or any concerns that come up during the course of the construction and the design of this project. Over the last 9 years, we've designed 11 buildings for your district. And we continue to have a very good and successful relationship with BISD. We bring to the table innovative and creative solutions for budgets and times that are very constrictive. We design for future flexibility and durability. You will get a commitment from us that a principal in charge of the firm will be present at all of your meetings and will play an active role in your projects. It will be one of the 3 of us. We also assure our clients that there's a continuity of our staff so that when you have somebody from the beginning, that person's going to be there through the duration of the project. We feel that's very important. So those are the major things that we bring to the firm and a brief history of our firm. Dan's introduced the 3 of us. The key personnel that would be involved in your project, if we're so lucky to be selected here tonight, would be us, the 3 principals in charge, structural engineers, Rolando Rubiano and Danilo Balcos, and we have mechanical, ACR engineering, and civil is Ferris and Flynn. These are all Valley architects and engineers. In particular, all of our consultants are out of Harlingen. So we commit to you a staff that can be available on a moment's notice. Specifically high school projects, we're currently working for over 2 years with the Harlingen School District on a $13 million renovation to Harlingen High School. For your district, we've done classroom wings to Hannah and currently to Pace. We've also worked on MPod at Hannah. We renovated MPod, which is their mechanics pod, turned it into a Studiantina and a number of other performing arts facilities there at that campus. Pace and Porter and Hannah are recent projects where we renovated kitchens, renovated completely their entire kitchens on those 3 projects. At La Jolla, we've recently completed a few years ago a new high school there. Mission, also a high school. Roma has high school work and renovations recently and additions to Roma High School. Valley View Independent School District, we've also done cafeteria additions there. The Marine Military Academy, we've done all those red roofs you see out there at MMA. We've done a lot of the work out there, including auditorium libraries, math and science wings, and administration and academic buildings. We did the new Edinburgh North High School. And because of our history, we've had the opportunity to design the first 3 schools at McAllen, including Mac High, Memorial, and Nicky Rowe. And then currently, we're working right now with PSJ on their new high school. I'll just quickly go through what we've been doing at Harlingen. Harlingen, as I said, is a $13 million renovation. It's a fairly significant renovation that includes new field house buildings, a new performing arts building, a masonry lab, new classrooms, and then about 61,000 square feet of renovations to their existing classrooms. What you're seeing here are renderings of a couple of the buildings. This is the field house and then a new JV stadium. More specifically, here's the performing arts building, about 12,000 square feet. It includes a new dance area and practice areas for their drill team, new choir area, which includes 3 ensemble areas and 2 individual, actually a number of individual, about 5 individual practice areas, a speech and drama area. It's about a 100-seat practice stage for their speech and drama activities. Also there at the high school, we built a new 18,000 square foot field house, which I think still holds true. They have the largest weight room in the valley. I mean, it's a huge weight room. Brand new, this is where all of the boys' athletics takes place, including shower facilities, and then of course part of that package included a new JV stadium. They have a stadium, bogus stadium there now, but it is not the correct dimensions for soccer fields, for competitive soccer fields, and soccer is very important to them, so they've built this facility specifically for soccer competition and JV sports. Okay. I'll let Luis, you want to talk about Roma?
This is Roma High School. This one was actually designed in the late 80s, built completed in 1990, and we've done several additional projects in Roma, and particularly to this school. From what you see on that photograph there, this was actually the original school, which was the high school with the baseball field and the stadium. Since then, we've done some softball complexes, baseball complex behind the school. We've also added another elementary over to the west of this site, and we've also done 2 additional band halls to this project as our program grew. And we're just finishing up, or just finished an 800-seat auditorium for them. And we're also have been commissioned to do some other projects based on their new bond program. And so we've been working with them for quite a while.
This is the La Jolla School District, Juarez Lincoln High School. It's the 9th and 10th grade. This is designed around a patio. It was designed for 2,000 students in traditional scheduling or 1,600 in block scheduling. Each of is 2-story, has 4 wings, and for the block scheduling, we designed it so that all the science rooms aren't all together, they're in all the different wings so that they could team teach and do block scheduling. They've since gone back to the traditional scheduling, which has 2,000 students capability in this school. This is Alonzo De Leon Junior High School in McAllen. This is an award-winning school. We just put it in here because we're very proud of the way it looks. And this is, we have up there called Mission 9th Grade Center, but actually a wing was added to this school, and it's presently Mission Veterans Memorial High School.
If I could add, this project along with McAllen Memorial, both projects started out as 9th grade schools, and they were designed with all the common areas to be future high schools. And That's what they are now.
I mentioned earlier MMA, a number of buildings there. They've just recently been released from bankruptcy court, so they're going to be getting new work. They haven't done work in a number of years, but we continue to be their architect for most of their buildings. That particular picture is a picture of the auditorium and library building. One of the questions in the questionnaire was experience with school districts in the past 5 years. I'll just quickly go through some of these. Some of these we've already mentioned. Harlingen School District passed an $85 million bond election about 5 years ago, of which we've done a third of that work. It was split between 3 architectural firms. We've done work at a number of elementary schools and, of course, the high school. Jefferson, Sam Houston, Wilson, Treasure Hills, Zavala, and Bonham are the most recent ones we've been working on for them. Valley View Independent School District, a new elementary school there in the past 5 years. PSJA, a new elementary school, synthetic track replacements, synthetic turf replacements, sub-varsity football stadium for both Memorial North and PSJA. Others continuing on with a 5-year experience. 5 years is, of course, Edinburgh Independent with the Edinburgh South Middle School, another middle school project there. Roma, we recently completed a new performing arts center out there. Roma High School additions and renovations, as was mentioned earlier. Barrera Elementary and Vera Elementary. La Jolla, Enrique Elementary, Seguin Elementary, and then a few other elementaries and a new stadium out there, La Jolla. La Jolla Stadium is, I guess, 2 years old now, 2 seasons. Brand new, big red stadium. You can't miss it as you drive on the expressway out there. I mentioned the work we've done with BISD. I've got it labeled there, but I'll just quickly go through some of them. Martin and Canales Elementary, where this was back in 97, I think, 97 or 96. We completed 2 projects for this, a new elementary administration and library building for both campuses. Turned out nice. Garza and Vermilion Elementary Schools, there we did some kitchen work. Brand new kitchen facility out there at Garza. Can't help but see it because it's a brand new building out there amongst a very old campus. So, and Vermilion, we did the same thing. And in the case of Vermilion, we actually added on to the existing kitchen and cafeteria there. That was in 2002. The most recent project, and it's recent, all we have right now is renderings because it hasn't come out of the ground yet. We just received bids last week and evaluated bids last week, was your new classroom wing addition at Pace. And there's a couple of renderings of that project. About 23,000 square feet. It came in at $3.1 million. That has a first floor of classrooms and a second floor of laboratories. We wanted to just quickly give you a list of projects that we're currently working on. It was one of the questions that was that was asked of us, and we answered in the RFQ. It looks like a long list, but I will say that of all these, 4 of them are in design. The rest of them are all under construction right now, or they're substantially complete, or we've just received bids, as in the case of Pace. I mentioned most of these of Brownsville, Edinburgh, Harlingen. Out of the rest of the bond election money, we've only got 1 more project, and it's just about finished at Harlingen High School. La Sara is an elementary that's also under construction. La Jolla is one of the design projects, a new middle school there. PSJ, a new elementary school there under construction, and the track replacement is also under construction. And then we mentioned the high school is under design. Roma, we've got an elementary and a middle school that's in design right now. And in Valley View, we've got 2 that are basically in construction, a softball field and a high school cafeteria and junior high cafeteria addition there. But again, we just wanted to emphasize that of all these, only 4 of them are in design. Most of them are already out of production and so we could use some more production work. I won't go through this list of references, but it was something that, again, was asked of us in the RFQ, and we wanted to just show you that we've worked with a number of school districts throughout the valley. We pride ourselves in repeat business, and we think we have a very good list of references and letters of references, which are also included in the RFQ. It was asked to our number of employees and our staff. Together with our Harlingen and McAllen office, we have 18 employees. 3 of them are registered architects, and you're looking at them. We're the partners in the firm. We have 1 interior design who's also a licensed interior designer. We have 4 interns coming up to be architects, 6 draftsmen, 1 person exclusively for construction administration that goes out into the fields all the time, and we do too, but he helps us as well. And then we have 3 clerical. So about a third of the people in our firm, a third of our 18 members are in our Harlingen office, and we're, like I said, we're only 25 minutes away. We can be there on a moment's notice, and we are for BISD right now. How much time do we have left?
Very little. 2 minutes.
2 minutes? Okay.
Or as much time as you want, if there's question and answer, but
okay.
2 minutes.
These are just quickly, these are also in your RFQ, but we just wanted to show you that we are experienced in keeping timelines and deadlines. One of the things we really try to do is track our projects, and this is one of the ways we do it. This is a spreadsheet that shows that. This was for all the bond money that we were associated with in Harlingen, and you can see that each bar illustrates a phase within the construction and design period, and we would update this on a periodic basis, and we do the same thing for you guys. Cost estimating, we pride ourselves in trying to be on budget, and this is an example of a spreadsheet we put together, very detailed. It's a room-by-room detailed cost estimate of all the rooms in a particular project, and we're constantly updating this because prices are changing all the time. Just quickly, we've had a chance to look at your site. I went out there yesterday and took some pictures. I just wanted to include it in here because we think it's important. If we happen to be fortunate to design, then we want to be able to be familiar with the site. And of course, there's an aerial of it. It's 80 acres there on 281. It's near Resaca. It's right across from River Bend. Water is close by. Sewer is also close by. Electricity. You got all the elements you need to build the school, utility-wise. Villanueva is off to the northwest, which we did a small project over there at Villanueva a few years ago, and Alton Glore is over there on the right-hand side. And then I climbed up on top of the truck the other day and just took some pictures. Basically, it is farmland right now, but you got a clean slate, which will be great. That's all we have.
We'll open it up appreciate it. We'll open it up for questions from the board. Any questions? Any board members? Mr. Gonzalez, have any questions? I just want to real quickly ask, I guess I had 2 or 3 questions that I'll ask you also. One being 2-level versus 1-level construction. In getting back some of the questions were asked, how many high schools have you designed in the past? And 7. And are you constructing or are you commissioned right now to design a high school right now? PSJ. Would that impede having the workforce you have on undertaking something like this, a $50 million project? Okay. So my question there, 1-level to 2-story to 1-story building, is there a cost difference? Is there a practicality? What is your consensus on that?
We've done both. The one you saw in Roma is a single-story building. It kind of spreads out. Everything radiates out from administration and cafeteria. Nicky Row in McAllen is 2 stories. The reason it was designed that way is it's more compact. If you go from one wing to another, your second wing might be downstairs, and instead of walking down the end of a hall and around a corridor and back in another corridor, just go down a flight of stairs.
But in design, is it cheaper to go two-story or not necessarily?
Not necessarily. Really, it
Those-
depends on
those-
the type of construction and
So one level would be just as expensive, or two level would be just as expensive going one level.
there are some, I've never designed a school one-story and two-story, so I don't really know how to compare them.
So you've never done a
apples for
two-story?
apples.
I mean, just theoretically in construction. You design them, somebody else comes and builds them.
Right.
Would it be cheaper to go up or not necessarily? Is there a cost savings factor as to building a two-story building?
As I said, I've never compared apples to apples. I have been told by contractors it's cheaper to go two stories, and I've been told by contractors it's cheaper to go one story. Because if you go one story, you have twice as much roof. Go two story, you have two floors with only one roof.
And one slab? Okay. All right. I'll then pass it on to the bond committee. Are there any questions for Mr. Ogden? And you said you had 3 architects. Whatever happened to Mr. and Mrs. Reich? Retired, I guess?
Mrs. Reich retired also along with him. Mr. Reich unfortunately had a stroke,
Okay.
but he's 94 years old, and he's recovering from that, although not too well, but he's still with us.
Okay. Now, I noticed because you've done work for the district also, so I need to make sure that they know that you've done work for the district.
Yes.
And so I was just curious. I never saw a Reich, but I guess that's why. But anyway, additional comments? Additional comments from the board? Mr. Gonzalez? We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, at this point, I guess we'll do our ranking, and on the last, and I guess we'll take a 10 to 15 minute, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Rodriguez, you need the 15 minutes, or how much? Since we had a question and answer, how much time do you need to?
If I could ask for a point of clarification as to what you all are expecting of us.
I don't know.
I'll meet with you in a minute.
So.
If you, it could depend. We could need all 15 minutes, or we could only need 5, depending on what.
Okay. So we can.
The superintendent in there.
We recess, and we'll call it back to order.
Okay, very good. All righty, then we recess for about 10 to 15 minutes. The Facilities Committee reconvenes to take item 4, discussion with Board Oversight Committee with regards to presentation of architectural firms. Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you. At this time, Colin, is it Mr. Rodriguez going to do the presentation?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, sir.
Or do you want to?
Let him, and then we'll do
Okay,
it.
very good. Okay, good.
Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Chairman, the Board Oversight Committee has listened to the presentations by the 5 different architectural firms, and we have come to a preliminary ranking in order based upon the presentations only. We reserve the right to change our ranking based upon site visits that we request you allow us to make, along with any other members of the Board of Trustees that would like to go. I would like to announce that I have asked Mr. Barbosa, the Vice Chairman, to lead the team of the Bond Oversight Committee that will be making the site visits, and he will coordinate that with you, Mr. Gonzalez. But we have ranked 3 out of the 5, and the top 3 in order are Gomez Mendez Signs first, PBK second, and Janak third. Again, I'd like to state that that ranking is based upon the presentations made today, subject to re-ranking following site visits.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, I'd like to add that, that you're right on target with the board, and as far as the top 3, maybe not in the same order, but the top 3 were also done by the board. What we did with the board is they gave me all their rankings, and that way they gave them to me. We added them up and came up with the top 3. Very similar. First, the top vote getter was PBK. Second was Janak, and third was Gomez Mendez Signs. So in essence, all 3 are basically the top 3 for both the bond oversight and the board, which is not surprising to me because usually when you have everybody listening to the same group, they come up with the same conclusions. And they were tight. I'm not going to say nobody ran away with it. I'm sure the same way with y'all. they were tight. Nobody ran away with anything. And that's the way it's supposed to be. I think the next, my recommendation to the Facilities Committee and the board would be to make some site visitations. And
That'll be item 5, the discussion on possible tours to view architectural design, so.
will be, what I would like to do, if it's okay, just set up some visits first with the architects, because they need to be there, and see what we can do, and see, we would like to see not more than 2 sites per architect. That way, it doesn't take a long time. They can show you what their 2 proudest moments are, as they say, in their architectural design.
Well, one only has one, so.
And if it's the only one that they want to do, that's one too, but we'll give them the opportunity for 2 and go from there. So it gives us an opportunity to do that. Turn it over back to you.
Okay, so no need to discuss, any more discussion, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Ray has some point to make.
I got a quick question. Based on what you're trying to achieve in the construction of your high school, or I think this group needs to understand whether you're trying to make an architectural statement with the construction of your new high school, whether you're trying to keep it in line with what has been designed around the district prior to this, whether you're looking for a new and revolutionary design in your school, because I think that influences the decision that you make on the choice of an architect. There are very obvious differences between the top three firms that we're all talking about, and I think a little bit of your thoughts on that would help this group considerably.
I mean?
Yes, sir.
Basically, what we're looking for is, of course, this is the way it's going to work. Once we decide on an architectural firm, we're not trying to do an impact. There's no way we're going to do an impact. That would require a lot of money. However, we're trying to build a school that's going to be beneficial to everybody, that's certainly practical, that has the latest technology in it, and that we can do within the budget. And doing that is going to require an architectural firm that can do that. That can be aesthetically pleasing, very practical, and use materials that are in proportion with what we need in our budget. So with that in mind, we need to select an architectural firm that can do that for us. We know what we have. If you take everybody's talking about 50 million. That's what was appropriated. But we already spent $1 million on land, so now we're down to 49. And we're going to have to pay architect fees, which we're looking probably at about a $44 to $45 million budget to be able to do this school within budget. Because 50 million included architectural fees and land. So when we're looking at that, we need to look at an architectural firm that can design that, make it aesthetically pleasing, something we're all proud of, something that the materials will certainly not be materials that are downgraded, but materials that will last you 50 years. A high school should last you 50 years. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Somebody that can do that for us and keep it within our budget. We certainly don't want to go out there and make an impact at $65 million, but we just can't afford it. So,
I'd like to follow up on Mr. Ray's comment, and that is, I personally feel that at this point in time, it's premature to offer arguments for or against any particular architectural firm, because during our meeting, during the break, there were a lot of ideas that were expressed by the different members of the Bond Oversight Committee as to qualifications, location, and other qualities of these different architectural firms. One, I think it would be imprudent of me to make any arguments at this point in time until we as a complete committee can formulate one coherent statement or position with respect to our rankings. That's why we limited our rankings based upon the presentations only. However, the point I'm trying to make is that we think it's important to do the site visits and then give a full explanation as to our final rankings. But I didn't want the board to leave here tonight thinking that one, the race was as close or as tight as you may have said with respect to the board's vote. I don't want to say that there was a runaway, but it wasn't as tight as you may seem to indicate, so I didn't want to leave that out. And I think it's important that the board know that we are not at this point in time going to make arguments for our positions because we think it's premature. But I think at some point in time, we will have a designated representative speak to the board and give a full-throated explanation as to why we're making our rankings and the reasons for it.
Additional comments from the board? Mr. Powers?
Thank you, Chairperson and Mr. Gonzalez. First, I want to thank all the presenters that were here today, all five, and especially want to thank the audience, the area superintendents, and the staff that are here because it's late. And especially want to thank the bond committee here, Oversight Committee, for your presentation. So it shows me your dedication and your loyalty to this community. Like you said, we don't have really 1 through 3. I do agree with the bond oversight committee. Once you all go see the sites, what you like in the schools, I just wanted, from my point, let's make this one of the 21st century's high school. So that's what we got to design, a 21st century high school. And that's all I ask from you guys. Thank you very much.
Additional comments? Mr. Gonzalez? That's it. We'll move on to item, any additional comments from the?
Just to finalize, I'll be setting up the tours and let you guys know. Let everybody, I'll set up the tours and let everybody know. Wait.
So, that said, 5, discussion on possible tours to view architectural designs. We've already tackled that one, and you'll handle that, Mr. Gonzalez. Then we move on to item 6, public input regarding items reviewed and discussed. Anyone from the audience would like to take the microphones up here and have input as to the items that were discussed this evening. Anybody from the audience would like to come up to the podium? State your name and speak your piece. No one? Thank you very much. We move on to 7, adjournment. This meeting is adjourned.
You're adjourned.